Chapter 1101. In the capital of Summer Wind, Ancient Nation, within the Fan Clan Magic Mountain, Dongboi Shui Ying and Skyrending Great Paragon enjoyed themselves to the fullest. Skyrending Great Paragon stood up and said, Brother Feishua, you should cultivate well in this Burning Heart God tree and feel the wonders of this Burning Heart God tree. Thank you, Great Sovereign. Dongboi Shui Ying said. A minor matter. Skyrender Grandmaster laughed as he left. Even his maids left with him. Skyrending Great Paragon returned to his palace and sat on his throne, looking down. Supreme Sovereign. Monarch Andromeda respectfully said, I've already arranged for King Sauron to be sent back. As for upper honored guest Feishua, do you need me to arrange for him to be sent back to the Southern Cloud Nation? He will probably cultivate for a full year under the Burning Heart Divine Tree. Skyrending Great Paragon smiled mysteriously. He said a year and a half. In his opinion, as long as he sensed the miraculousness of the Burning Heart Divine Tree, he would definitely be able to delay it for a full year. Perhaps he would even try to stall for more time. However, when the time came, he would definitely show up personally to send him off. Burning Heart God Tree? Monarch Andromeda was shocked. This for him to use, his background is extraordinary. Back then, when Master personally wanted to take him in as a disciple, he refused. Back then, I thought that he was too immature, but now, it seems that he has something to rely on. Since he has a cultivation technique to the pinnacle of voidification at the primal chaos realm, he should have some extremely powerful secret impartation. If his status in his previous life was high enough, he should be able to impart some of his cultivation techniques to outsiders. Skyrending Great Paragon laughed. After experiencing the Burning Heart God Tree, he will definitely want to cultivate here for a long time, since he is proficient in the Mirage and Illusory Realm lineage. Humph. Exchanging for a guest retainer's merits does not have the qualifications to exchange for cultivating under the Burning Heart Divine Tree. If he wants to get it, he would have to take out something that would move my fan clan. Even if I can't get it, it's just a year and a half. Monarch Andromeda understood. Skyrending Great Paragon was confident. He was certain that this Shan Snow Eagle would definitely covet the Burning Heart God Tree. This time, I intend to enter the Origin Realm's Sacred Palace and make proper preparations. I want Senior Brother Lu Tian to feel my sincerity, said Skyrending Great Paragon. Yes. Monarch Andromeda nodded respectfully. The short and thick Burning Heart Divine Tree looked like it was carved from deep purple jade. Its huge tree crown covered the area below. Under the tree, the white-robed youth sat cross-legged. Dongboi Shui Ying naturally understood Skyrending Great Paragon's thoughts. The Burning Heart God Tree was a divine item that greatly benefited ancestor fans' cultivation. Usually, the 6 great paragons of the fan clan would take turns using it. He had never heard of it before. Most likely, even his teacher, the Southern Cloud King, did not know about it. Of course, it was possible that his master did not cultivate the Tao of the Soul, so he did not use the Burning Heart Divine Tree to tempt him. Since the other party wanted him to cultivate here for a year and a half, he was probably very confident in the Burning Heart Divine Tree. I want to see just how magical this Burning Heart Divine Tree is. Dongboi Shui Ying calmly cultivated. On one hand, he was absorbing the aura emitted by the Burning Heart God Tree to nourish his soul. At the same time, he was comprehending the Mirage and Illusory Realm. Even the golden-robed avatar in the distant southern cloud capital was doing the same, even though he wanted to become a cosmos god. But there was no need to rush for a year and a half. This amount of time was very short for powerful cultivators. He had to seize this opportunity to cultivate with all his might and carefully feel it. Very comfortable. His soul was very relaxed, and he could feel it slowly strengthening. Even though it was slow, if this sort of improvement could last for a year and a half, then the degree of improvement would be frightening. Gradually, his heart calmed down. All sorts of profound mysteries of the Mirage and Illusory Realm floated in his heart. He began pondering over them. Amen. Just a few breaths of time later, Dongboi Shui Ying felt something unique. As he focused on comprehending, and his soul being nourished by the aura of the burning heart god tree, he actually felt a soul-scorching feeling. The more he tried to deduce and comprehend, the stronger the feeling of his soul being scorched. The more it was scorching, the more transcendent his soul became. His comprehension of the mirage and illusory realm was also surging. The improvement of my soul. Dongboi Shuiying felt that at this moment he was omnipotent. He had gained all sorts of understanding of the soul, because his soul was too transcendent and perfect. His understanding of the various aspects of the soul became clearer. Correspondingly, the mirage and illusory realm originally targeted the soul and the soul. If he had a deeper understanding of the soul, the mirage and illusory realm would naturally become more perfect. This is truly mysterious, unfathomable. Dongboi Shuiying was startled. This feeling made him feel intoxicated. He originally felt that reaching the third level of the heart realm, my heart as the world, was the highest level. This was indeed the highest level of the heart realm in ordinary cultivation, including in the realm heart great land. But under the help of the burning heart god tree, his heart realm seemed to reach a higher level. Transcendence, no joy or sorrow. Looking down from a higher level, dissecting the soul and deducing the Tao of mirage and illusory realm. Of course, this cultivation required the accumulation of experience. Furthermore, it was the soul that provided the greatest help. Even though this state of the heart might be helpful in comprehending other aspects, it wouldn't be too exaggerated. Only the soul aspect was the most exaggerated. My mirage and illusory realm actually has so many shortcomings. Dongboi Shuiying grasped the devil heart bell. He knew that the illusory realm had reached the 10th level realm, and he knew his direction. But he always felt that it was hard to break through. But at this moment, many inspirations appeared, and he discovered many aspects that he could improve in. This junior disciple brother of mine has truly shocked the world with a single feat. Formidable, formidable. Monarch Greedy Peng and Monarch Chun you walked side by side. They merely teleported a few times before standing outside the courtyard of Feishu. The protector at the entrance of the courtyard was greatly startled when he saw them. He respectfully greeted, "Greetings, monarchs." This Feishu courtyard would occasionally have guests. Monarch Greedy Peng and the others had come in the past too, and these protectors were acquainted with them. Furthermore, they were all bestowed with some information regarding experts, and knew many experts. "Where is my junior disciple brother?" Monarch Greedy Peng asked. "His Highness is currently in closed-door cultivation. He has ordered that if there isn't anything important, he won't be meeting any guests." A protector respectfully answered, "Two monarchs, do you need me to pass the message?" From the perspective of the protector, even though the status of King Feishuing, Shan Snow Eagle, was high, it was two cosmos gods who came to visit. It should be time for them to come out from closed-door cultivation. "Do not disturb him." Monarch Greedy Peng immediately shouted. "Yes." This protector was startled. "Let's go." Monarch Greedy Peng chuckled as he looked at Monarch Chun Yu by the side. "It seems that when my junior disciple brother comes out, he will no longer be a king, but monarch." Monarch Chun Yu chuckled and nodded. The conversation between the two of them was naturally isolated from others. Fan Clan Magic Mountain. Under the short and thick violet burning heart god tree, the white-robed young man remained seated cross-legged. In the blink of an eye, he had cultivated here for 9 months. The nourishment of his soul had already stopped. It had continued for close to 7 months, and it had only strengthened his soul by about 20%. If he were to consume the essence of chaotic origin, it would likely require a few billion cosmos crystals. Hua, hua. Occasionally, the wind would blow, causing violet leaves to fall. Suddenly, Hong, the white-robed young man, opened his eyes. His eyes vaguely showed the evolution of the myriad existences in the world. There were even the birth of living beings. It was as if the cosmos was evolving in his eyes. With another blink, he regained his normal state. I originally planned to break through to the cosmos god realm in the Tao of Void, but it's rare to find an opportunity to cultivate under the burning heart god tree. That was why I temporarily focused on cultivating the mirage and illusory realm. Who would have thought that I would actually break through in the mirage and illusory realm? Dong Wuxuang felt both surprised and delighted. Of course, even though he had taken that step in the mirage and illusory realm, and his comprehension of the laws had reached that stage, he did not directly break through. Breaking through to the cosmos god realm required a huge amount of world energy, and the disturbance would be huge. It wasn't suitable for him to break through under the burning heart god tree. Hua! Dong Wuxuang stood up and left. Upper honored guest Fei Xue. Are you leaving just like that? Not too far away from the burning heart god tree. An attendant stood up and asked respectfully, did skyrending great paragon not say that he would take a year? It's been 9 months. I'll return to my residence first. Dong Wuxuang chuckled. Being an upper honored guest, he naturally had a cavern dwelling in the Fan Clan Magic Mountain. He would first break through to the cosmos god realm. The moment Dong Wuxuang finished speaking, he immediately arced through the sky and flew far away. He had waited for this day to become a cosmos god for far too long. End of this chapter. This chapter ended. The next chapter, Cosmos God. Chapter 1102, Exalted Retainer. In the Fan Clan Magic Mountain, there were 2 protectors standing outside a luxurious cavern dwelling. When they saw the white-robed young man descending from afar, the 2 protectors acknowledged respectfully. Yes, Dong Wuxuang replied and walked inside. Ever since he became an upper-honored guest, this was the first time he stayed in the cave dwelling that the Fan Clan prepared for him. There was a commotion within the cave. The maids who had been waiting here for a long time hurriedly rushed over and greeted respectfully. Lord Exalted Retainer, I'm going into seclusion for a few days. Do not disturb me. Dong Wuxuang already had the cave abode talisman, allowing him to control every single formation in the cave abode. With just a thought, he was able to find out the layout of the cave abode and the location of the cultivation chamber. Yes, the maids replied in unison. Very soon, as the door to the meditation room opened, Dong Wuxuang stepped in. The door closed again, and everything returned to normal. Our high-honored guest. The maids looked at each other in a daze. Seclusion the moment he arrived? The lodgings prepared by the Fan Clan for the honored guests were usually temporary. After cultivating for a long period of time, they would usually return to their own territories. In the quiet room, the incense had been lit, and its fragrance pervaded the air. On the black futon, the white-robed Dong Wuxuang sat with his legs crossed, looking extremely calm. Boom! His soul had silently begun to transform, using the laws of the illusory world that he had comprehended as his foundation, reconstructing one's own soul, reconstructing the essence of one's soul, leaping from one level of life to another. The leap of the soul was the leap of the essence of life. And now, he had stepped into the final realm of cultivation, Cosmos God. Even though there were strong and weak Cosmos Gods, just like the primal chaos realm, it could be split into several levels. But everyone was at the primal chaos realm, and their life essence was equivalent. It was the same for Cosmos Gods too. Some of the weaker Cosmos Gods in the primal chaos void, like Forefather Tianyu and Void Primogenitor, were merely at the first level of Cosmos God, and Sacred Master was a third-level Cosmos God. However, there was only a difference in their Daos. There was no difference in the nature of their lives. Unparalleled existences like Ancestor Fan and Emperor Summer were actually third-level Cosmos Gods. But because he was in the Realm Heart Great Land, the foundation here was deeper. With the aid of many cultivation techniques, he could unleash his strength more perfectly. Moreover, there were some terrifying treasures that could raise one's strength to an even higher level. For instance, Southern Cloud King was a second-level Cosmos God. Even though he cultivated many cultivation techniques like the 5 phases sealing technique to grand perfection, reaching the boundary of the third level, in terms of digging out his strength, he was still beyond Wuzu and Jezu from the primal chaos void. However, what truly allowed his strength to soar was the use of the peak-grade secret treasure, the 2 Realm Saber, which allowed his strength to reach a higher level. Fighting across realms. This was something that would only happen in the realm Heart Great Land. At the primal chaos realm, one could unleash 10 levels of techniques. Ordinary cosmos gods could exert the strength of a level 2 cosmos god. Of course, the prerequisite was that he needed a suitable artifact. Like fiery Zhao King, even though he was a second-level cosmos god, he did not have any top-graded secret treasures. Hence, his strength could not compare with Southern Cloud King. There were quite a few cosmos gods who did not have any suitable secret treasures. That was why many cosmos gods were willing to rely on the apex superpowers like the Fan Clan. But even if they sold themselves, ordinary secret treasures were easy to obtain, but top-graded secret treasures were still hard to come by. After all, Southern Cloud King had the strength of a level 3 cosmos god by relying on a top-graded secret treasure. He was confident of surviving even when facing Ancestor Fan and the others. This feeling, Dongbua Shui Ying opened his eyes. His soul had transformed. Furthermore, because of the illusory realm law, Dongbua Shui Ying's soul was several times stronger than most cosmos gods. Inner world. Dongbua Shui Ying sent out a thought. Even though he had previously reached the primal chaos realm using the bloodline cultivation technique, he still relied on the laws and profound mystery system when he recultivated the mirage and illusory realm. Hong Long Long, the miniature cosmos in his body, was in a piece of primal chaos. At this moment, it exploded. Under the complete laws of the illusory realm world, the miniature cosmos was rapidly evolving. Wind, lightning, earth, fire, all sorts of energy surged. The great earth was being born, and the myriad existences were being born. It was too fast. The evolution of Dongbua Shui Ying's inner world was much faster than what was recorded in many books. It was evolving at a frightening speed, and very soon, sentient beings were born. Birds, beasts, insects, ants, and even humans were rapidly being born under the guidance of Dongbua Shui Ying. At the same time, the miniature cosmos was expanding. It was expanding at an incredibly fast speed. But strangely, the cosmos in his body was faintly discernible. It did not seem real. The mirage cosmos in my body? Dongbua Shui Ying was clear about it. Different Tao paths determined the formation of the final cosmos of the laws and profound mystery system. Currently, Dongbua Shui Ying had comprehended a branch of the mirage and illusory realm Tao path, the illusory realm world. Hence, the cosmos that was born was not a real cosmos. Ordinary cosmos gods would usually open a real cosmos. But what Dongbua Shui Ying created was the mirage cosmos. Naturally, the life forms within the mirage cosmos similarly had spirituality and emotions. They were born, grew, and experienced many things: love, cultivation, giving birth to children. Many life forms lived within the mirage cosmos. They had their own emotions and similarly felt that they were real. They experienced birth, old age, sickness, and death. Experts would also step on the path of cultivation. The unique aspects of the mirage cosmos. Firstly, the flow of time within it. Dongbua Shui Ying could easily maintain the flow of time at a rate of 10,000 times. He did not feel any burden on himself. He could even forcefully increase the flow of time, but that would gradually create a burden on him. Secondly, the mirage cosmos was more than 10,000 times bigger than the true cosmos of most cosmos gods. After all, one was illusory and the other was real. The difficulty of maintaining one was different. But even so, Cosmos God desired to own a mirage cosmos more than their own true cosmos. Other than the frightening strength of the mirage and illusory realm cosmos, the mirage cosmos itself had many unique aspects. Because it was more than 10,000 times bigger, and the flow of time was more than 10,000 times faster too. The speed of reproducing life forms and even experts within it was much faster than ordinary cosmos gods. Furthermore, as long as Dongbua Shui Ying was willing to pay the price, he could bring the life forms or items within the mirage cosmos into reality. allowing them to enter reality from the mirage cosmos. Illusory, similarly real. This was the frightening aspect of this path after reaching the cosmos god realm. Disciple, what you are pursuing is real. Dongboi Shui Ying revealed a grin. At his hometown, he had a disciple, Xing Huasun. For the sake of cultivating the illusory realm, Xing Huasun directly entered the illusory realm. Nonetheless, Xing Huasun eventually fell into it and lived together with the girls within the illusory realm. They even became Tao companions in the end. He thought of ways to let his wife live longer. He treated the illusory realm as reality, and he had no regrets. But the illusory realm eventually collapsed, and he could only watch as his wife was destroyed along with the world. As the world was destroyed, his wife looked at him. His wife also knew that she was a life form within the illusory realm. That time, Xing Huasun, he had truly turned mad. He formed a heart devil. Because of Dongboi Shui Ying's guidance, Xing Huasun believed that this path of illusory realm could eventually turn everything within the illusory realm into reality. But in his hometown origin world, the primal chaos void, there had never been anyone who could become a cosmos god in the mirage and illusory realm. Before this, Dongboi Shui was the one with the highest achievement. And now, Dongboi Shui finally became a cosmos god. He knew that his conjecture in the past was true. During the process of the evolution of the cosmos in the body, the entire cultivation room was madly absorbing the world energy into the body to replenish the energy consumed. Even though it was in the cultivation room and most ripples were isolated, this time it was the evolution of a cosmos. The world energy was being devoured at a crazy rate, causing the energy of the Fan Clan Magic Mountain to fluctuate. Amen. The black-robed, sky-rending great paragon stepped on the void and arrived outside the cavern dwelling of Snow Eagle. He looked downwards at that cavern dwelling. Such a disturbance should not be so huge, even if you are practicing your technique. Has upper honored guest Feishua broken through to the cosmos god realm? Chapter 1103. In the quiet room, the turbulent vortex of heaven and earth power finally dissipated. Dongboi Shui, who was sitting cross-legged, opened his eyes and a smile appeared on his face. Sky-rending, great paragon. Dongboi Shui immediately sensed the visitor and stood up. Although he needed to consolidate his strength, it was the most efficient to do so under the Burning Heart God tree. Rumble. As soon as Dongboi Shui walked out, he raised his head and saw Scarending, great venerable hovering in midair in the distance. Greetings, great sovereign. Dongboi Shui bowed respectfully. Skyrending great monarch's eyes flashed with a trace of shock. Dongboi Shui, who had just broken through, did not deliberately conceal his aura. In order to hide his aura, he had to use the 9 revolutions undying technique. There was no need to do so in the Fan Clan Magic Mountain. Younger brother Feishua, Scarending Great Paragon, could feel the aura of this Angshan Snow Eagle in front of him becoming illusory and real at the same time. You broke through to the Cosmos God realm, not through the Void lineage, but the Mirage and Illusory realm. It's all thanks to the Burning Heart Divine Tree. Although I've accumulated a lot in my previous life, I was still a step away from breaking through. But under the Burning Heart Divine Tree, I managed to break through the final step. Dongboi Shui sighed. The Burning Heart Divine Tree is indeed mysterious. Skyrending Great Paragon revealed a smile and said, "Congratulations." In his heart, he was thinking, this Angshan Snow Eagle could unleash the pinnacle of voidification. He should have specialized in the Tao of Void in his previous life. Now that he has broken through to the Cosmos God realm in the Mirage and Illusory realm, it is hard to gauge his strength. Great Sovereign, I'll go to the Burning Heart Divine Tree first. After all, it's only a year. Dongboi Shui smiled. Ha! Go on. Skyrending Great Paragon laughed and didn't mention anything about letting Dongboi Shui cultivate for a few more days. 1 year. Only 1 year. When the time was up, skyrending Great Paragon would definitely let Dongboi Shuang leave. Want to cultivate again? It was a fair exchange. On the day 1 year was up, under the burning heart god tree, leaves fell. As skyrending Great Paragon personally sent Shuang off, Shuang naturally had a look of reluctance. Eventually, he left. I don't believe that you don't want to continue cultivating under the burning heart divine tree. Skyrending Great Paragon looked at Dongboi Shui Ying's departing figure and thought to himself, he just broke through and is still full of confidence. When you reach a bottleneck and are unable to advance an inch, you will definitely want to come under the burning heart divine tree again. Great sovereign level existences. Some people focused on cultivation and only sought to strengthen themselves. This was also the most common, but there were a few who placed importance on external forces. For instance, Southern Cloud King did his utmost to spread the Southern Cloud sacred religion. He had even created the Southern Cloud 12 sacred styles, which was easier to cultivate. Through the religion, he earned large amounts of cosmos crystals and resources. Skyrending Great Paragon also attached great importance to subordinates, helpers, and various external forces. In the Fan clan, among the 6 Great Paragons, Skyrending Great Paragon led the strongest force with a large number of experts by his side. Even Ancestor Fan had asked him to manage the operations of the entire Fan clan. Feishue's courtyard. South, a white-robed young man stealthily entered the cultivation room. He sat down cross-legged together with the golden-robed Dongboi Shuang. Cultivate properly. I have to break through in the Tao of Void as soon as possible. That way, I can push the avatar technique to a higher level. The 2 great avatars sat down cross-legged and focused on comprehending the Void lineage. His accumulations in the Tao of Void were too deep. 2 secret importation styles of the Southern Cloud, 12 sacred styles, Scarlet Cloud combat technique, 5 phases sealing technique, 9 rotation undying technique. At this moment, as he comprehended them, large amounts of inspiration appeared. Previously, he did not dare to cultivate them because he could sense that the moment he cultivated, he would most likely break through. It seems that this breakthrough of mine in the Void lineage isn't limited to just a single Tao. At the moment when Shuang comprehended, he understood this point. In the Realm Heart Great Land, there was a sea region that was slightly closer to the Myriad Realms ancient nation. It was called the Icy Mist Sea. The Icy Mist Sea was vast, and there was a huge island located here. It was also a Tier 2 nation, the Overflowing Cloud Nation. Its territory was so huge that it was comparable to the Summer Wind ancient nation. But 99% of its territory wasn't suitable for living beings to reproduce. That was why it was occupied by a Tier 2 nation. South, a thin and small male wearing a violet robe suddenly appeared in midair. He was like an emperor looking down at the vast wilderness. Brother Tian Tong, the thin and small male announced. His voice rumbled and reverberated across this wilderness. The surrounding wilderness gradually began moving. Hong Long Long, the surrounding vast land abruptly stood up. If one was sufficiently far away, one could see that this huge land that stood up was actually a giant sitting up. His huge upper body pierced through the cloud layer. This giant opened his eyes. His pair of eyes stared at that violet-robed thin and small male. Southern Cloud? The giant's voice rumbled. Why did you come to my overflowing cloud nation? The violet-robed, thin, and small male was one of the avatars of Southern Cloud King. Brother Tian Tong, sell the secret treasure Devil Emperor gown to me. Southern Cloud King said. This existence in front of him was incredibly mysterious. Not many people in the Realm Heart Great Land knew about him. Tian Tong Godmaster. He was famous during the First War of the Ancient Nations. But that time, he was heavily injured by Ancestor Fan from the Summer Wind ancient nation. Ever since then, he disappeared without a trace. Very few could find traces of him. One had to know that Tian Tong Godmaster was a 3rd-level Cosmos God. Unfortunately, he lacked a suitable secret treasure. Reaching his level, he needed a secret treasure that was stronger than top-graded secret treasures in order to fight against those of a higher realm. Even though the shadows of Tian Tong Godmaster could be seen during the Second War of the Ancient Nations and several other important events, Tian Tong Godmaster had yet to obtain any secret treasures. Reaching the level of Tian Tong Godmaster, there were not many things that could attract him. One was a secret treasure that could greatly increase his strength, and the other was taking the final step to the legendary Yuan level. Devil Emperor Gown. Tian Tong Godmaster's voice rumbled. That foolish fellow offended me in the past and was eaten by me in a single bite. His treasure is still with me. But ordinary treasures can forget about exchanging for the Devil Emperor Gown. State your price. Southern Cloud King said. 200 billion cosmos crystals, or something that could move my heart. Tian Tong Godmaster sat there looking down at Southern Cloud King. Southern Cloud King frowned. 200 billion? Dongbua Shui Ying's golden-robed avatar broke through to the cosmos god realm, causing a huge disturbance in absorbing the world energy. Southern Cloud King naturally knew about it and went to meet Dongbua Shui Ying. He knew that it was the illusory realm that broke through to the cosmos god realm. Even though there was a heart devil scepter at the cosmos god realm amongst the mirage and illusory realm's secret treasures that were publicly sold, it's a pity that it belonged to the desire lineage of the mirage and illusory realm. And Dongbua Shui Ying belonged to the illusory realm lineage. Hence, he could not unleash a higher level of strength after obtaining the heart devil scepter. Southern Cloud King then told Dongbua Shui Ying, I'll help you find a suitable secret treasure. Even though Dongbua Shui Ying felt that the price was too high, Southern Cloud King replied, Then you can just help me in the future to make up for it. Isn't that too high? Southern Cloud King frowned. Even though he was wealthy, 200 billion cosmos crystals was sufficient to hurt his muscles and bones. This Tian Tong King was asking for a lion's share. 80 billion to 100 billion was the normal price. Do you think I lack this bit of cosmos crystals? Tian Tong Godmaster remained indifferent. Either it is a treasure that could move my heart, or it costs 200 billion cosmos crystals. Southern Cloud King promoted the Southern Cloud sacred religion. Other than to earn cosmos crystals, it was also to infiltrate the intelligence network across the entire Realm Heart Great Land. He also knew that the cosmos secret treasures of the illusory realm lineage within the mirage and illusory realm were too difficult to cultivate. Hence, there were fewer secret treasures. Only 3 were recorded in history, of which the Devil Emperor Gown was the one he had the highest chance of getting. The difficulty of the other 2 was higher. Truly, Southern Cloud King could not bear to part with cosmos crystals in the end. He took out another precious piece of map to exchange for the Devil Emperor Gown with Tian Tong King. With the Devil Emperor Gown and the 5 phase beads on him, I finally have a true helper. Southern Cloud King felt relatively delighted. Chapter 1104. Southern Cloud Capital, within the cultivation room of Fei Xue's courtyard. A white-robed young man and a golden-robed young man were both seated cross-legged. They were cultivating wholeheartedly. It had been 3 years since he returned from the Fan Clan Magic Mountain. Naturally, given his foundation, he had broken through to the Cosmos God Realm in the Tao of Void on the 2nd day of closed-door cultivation. It's just that his accumulations were too deep. He had a deep foundation in many directions of the Tao of Void, especially after he created the 9-rotation undying technique. The 9 directions complemented each other, allowing Dongbua Shui Ying to gain many insights. At this moment, these insights fused into his body, allowing him to break through. This high-speed breakthrough made Dongbua Shui Ying unable to stop. He was not willing to stop either. It's about time. Currently, my cultivation speed has slowed down slightly, so I should stop temporarily. I'll settle the matters in the Realm Heart Great Land before returning to my hometown. Dongbua Shui Ying stopped cultivating. Even though I haven't pushed all 5 branches of the 5 phases sealing technique to the final realm, I'm not in a rush. I'll continue cultivating after my avatar returns to my hometown. According to the teachings of his teacher, Southern Cloud King, the Tao of Void had a total of 9 branches. The 5 phases sealing technique consisted of 5 branches, of which the earth phase and origin phase were extremely difficult to cultivate. The earth phase was something Dongbua Shui Ying had accumulated over a long period of time as he watched the destruction devils being born from the void ancient tree in the Lost World corridor. The origin phase was the hardest. Only by comprehending the essence of the void could one succeed. 5 branches. Reaching the final realm in any branch would allow one to become a cosmos god. It was incredibly difficult to reach the final realm in all 5 branches. But due to Dongbua Shui Ying's deep accumulations, he had broken through 6 of the 9 branches to the final realm in just 3 short years, reaching the cosmos god realm. If this spread out, it would stun many experts. The reason why was because the Tao of Void only had a total of 9 branches. Like Southern Cloud King, he had stepped into the 2nd-level Cosmos God Realm. He had even obtained the top-graded secret treasure Realm Heart Blade, becoming an absolute overlord in the Realm Heart Great Land before comprehending all 9 branches. Because Dongbua Shui Ying created the 9-rotation undying technique, he comprehended 9 meridians of the Primal Chaos Realm, reaching the pinnacle of the Primal Chaos Realm. Most importantly, once all 9 meridians were comprehended, they would complement each other and form a perfect whole. This was also why Dongbua Shui Ying was able to reach the pinnacle of voidification at the Primal Chaos Realm under the guidance of General Mo Gu Scaled Armor. Because they complemented each other, Dongbua Shui Ying was able to produce all sorts of comprehensions as he broke through to the Cosmos God Realm in different Tao paths. He had a feeling as long as there was enough time, it wouldn't be difficult to push all 9 paths to the end. He had no choice. After all, his previous 9 Tao paths were all at the pinnacle of Primal Chaos Realm. He was just lacking a final step. With the 9 chakras circulating, he could break through quickly. Although 6 meridians have reached the limit, it's a pity that only 3 of them belong to the 5-element sealing technique. Looks like I'll have to wait a little longer. Dongbua Shui Ying thought to himself. Comprehending all Tao paths of the Tao of Void to the final realm might seem formidable, but he would still remain at the 1st level of Cosmos God. He had to fuse the 2 different Tao paths of the Tao of Void into one. Only then would his overall strength improve. Only then would he be considered a 2nd-level Cosmos God. Following that, he had to continue fusing the different Tao paths of the Tao of Void. But the subsequent fusion would not improve his strength significantly. Only when he fused all 9 Tao paths into one would he become a single entity. He would reach grand perfection in the Tao of Void. That was only at the 3rd level of Cosmos God Realm. Like Southern Cloud King, he had comprehended all 9 branches to the final realm, yet he had only fused 7 Tao paths. He was still far from fusing all 9 Tao paths into one. Comprehending them is easy, fusing them is hard. Fusing all 9 Tao paths is incredibly difficult. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. There were many cosmos gods in the Realm Heart Great Land. There were quite a few at the 2nd level of cosmos gods too, of which some were fortunate enough to acquire top-graded secret treasures and could fight against those at a higher realm. As for those who could step into the 3rd level of Cosmos God Realm, there were very few of them. Sacred Master was a 3rd-level Cosmos God. The unparalleled existences in the Realm Heart Great Land were slightly more formidable. They were 3rd-level Cosmos gods and had acquired stronger secret treasures, allowing them to become stronger. Furthermore, by relying on stronger secret treasures, they were able to see the Tao path ahead, allowing them to become stronger in terms of digging. Unparalleled Tao path. Dongbua Shui Ying looked forward to it. Unparalleled existences. And beyond that, reaching grand perfection in the Tao of Void would allow one to become a 3rd-level Cosmos God. And beyond that would be wielding the Supreme Law. This step was too difficult. Nobody in the Realm Heart Great Land could achieve it. Only the mysterious Yuan should be in existence at this level. No matter what, my foundation in the Tao of Void is extremely deep. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. I believe it isn't hard for me to step into the 2nd-level Cosmos God Realm after spending some time tempering myself and combining with the guidance of the predecessors. Coupled with some secret techniques I've acquired in the Realm Heart Great Land, I should be qualified to fight against Sacred Master after returning to my hometown. Sacred Master. Like Wu Zhu and Jie Zhu, they dared to fight against Sacred Master. Ultimately, their hometown origin world, the primal chaos void, was too crude in its refinement of secret treasures. Hence, they could not fight against those of a higher level. Hence, it was still about individual strength. Even if Sacred Master ignited his origin energy and became stronger, it was impossible for him to fight against those of a higher level. If he could become an unparalleled existence like Ancestor Fan or Emperor Summer, he could easily kill Wu Zhu and the others even if he was temporarily unparalleled. I don't have any secret treasures, but I don't have any secret treasures after returning to my hometown. Dongbua Shui understood this point. Everyone did not have any secret treasures of a higher level. Hence, they had to rely on their own strength. Hence, it was hard for Sacred Master to be shaken. He still needed time. He believed that with the Realm Heart Great Land as his support, he would grow rapidly. Soon, Dongbua Shui felt carefree in his heart. It was true. After cultivating for a long period and experiencing reincarnation, after becoming a cosmos god, he finally felt that the Sacred Master was no longer unreachable. That time when his teacher, Guqi, died, Shui was filled with fury. But deep in his heart, he felt helpless. At that time, he felt that the gap between the two of them was too big and too great. Time to begin. I should improve my avatar technique by another level. Dongbua Shui thought. After becoming a cosmos god, he had reached the pinnacle in 6 branches of the Tao of Void, of which included the Arch Destruction and Spectacular Painting. The Arch Destruction was divided into Small Success, Large Success, and Grand Perfection. Spectacular Painting was the same too. Strictly speaking, Southern Cloud King's greatest achievement was the 3 great absolute arts, Arch Destruction, Spectacular Painting, and Southern Cloud Sacred Body. The so-called Southern Cloud 12 Sacred Styles was merely the foundation of these 3 great absolute arts. First, he had to rely on the precious materials prepared by his teacher to push the Southern Cloud Sacred Body to the 11th level. Only then could he unleash the power of the Arch Destruction to large success by relying on the Southern Cloud Sacred Body. Break! Within the cultivation room, Dongbua Shui punched out. His body was faintly emitting light. In reality, the Southern Cloud Sacred Body was like a secret treasure. Only by relying on the Sacred Body could he unleash a greater combat power. The entire space was being pulled. At that moment, a finger-sized hole that could be seen with the naked eye appeared at the location of his fist. On the other side of the hole was pure darkness. Just looking at it with the naked eye would cause one to feel terror from the bottom of one's heart. Dongbua Shui tried sending a strand of consciousness in, yet what he saw was not darkness. Instead, it was another unique perspective that allowed him to see many regions. He could see the entire Realm Heart Great Land, and the further he went, the more blurred it became. He could even see a vaster region beyond the Realm Heart Great Land. This unique feeling of being able to see everything was not strange to Dongbua Shui. After all, he relied on this technique to execute the destructive realm teleportation technique. What a dense, mysterious aura. This time, the hole that was blasted out could be seen with the naked eye. It was even the size of a finger. The surging, mysterious aura was much denser than the previous time he broke through it. It felt as if a more dense aura was coming in from the outside world. The hole was also rapidly shrinking. Dongbua Shui immediately executed the avatar technique. At that moment, those mysterious auras were attracted towards Dongbua Shui Ying's soul, Southern Cloud Capital, Royal Palace. Amen. At the moment when Dongbua Shui blasted out a finger-sized hole in the essence of the void in the origin world, Southern Cloud King, who was seated cross-legged within the cultivation ground of the Royal Palace, opened his eyes. His vision penetrated through the obstructions of the Royal Palace and landed on the courtyard of Feishu. He revealed a grin. Arch Destruction? This disciple of mine has broken through to the cosmos god realm in the Tao of Void. I wonder if he was a first or second level cosmos god in his previous life. As for the third level, he did not dare to think about it. Firstly, there were few at this level in the entire realm heart Great Land. Secondly, if he was at this level, why would he be willing to take Southern Cloud King as his teacher, given his pride? Chapter 1105. Within the cultivation room. Men. The 9 young men exchanged glances. They revealed a grin. According to the avatar technique, he could currently refine 9 avatars. If he reached the second level of Cosmos God and cultivated the avatar technique to grand perfection, he could form 10,081 avatars. If more than 10,000 avatars were gathered together, it would be a sea of people. Hence, the avatars of Myriad Realm Tavern Master in his hometown gave Dongbua Shui Ying the feeling that he had countless avatars. After all, killing one would allow him to rapidly refine another. But not every avatar could possess perfect combat power. When he had 9 avatars, he could at most allow 2 avatars to possess perfect combat power. Under this situation, the other 7 avatars would be forced to dissipate. Because under the unseen law suppression, maintaining 2 strongest souls was the limit. When he had 10,081 avatars, maintaining 9 strongest souls was the limit. In other words, he could only allow 9 avatars to possess peak combat power, and the other avatars would dissipate. And if only 8 avatars could maintain peak combat power, the remaining 10,000 avatars could be maintained. It's just that they would be weak. Hence, even though Myriad Realm Tavern Master had many avatars, the majority of them were very weak. It doesn't matter if they are slightly weak. More importantly, every avatar represents a life. As long as one avatar survives, I can rapidly refine the other avatars. Dongbua Shui Ying thought, even though he had 9 avatars, but the energy of the Realm Heart Order remained within the soul of golden-robed Dongbua Shui Ying. By then, this avatar would return to his hometown according to his plan. Returning to his hometown would be the same as when he came. Only the core, true spirit could be protected by the energy of the Realm Heart Order and reincarnate in the primal chaos void. Hence, the strength of the soul was meaningless. The door to the cultivation room opened with a rumble. The white-robed Dongbua Shui Ying walked out. This was also the strongest avatar that cultivated the Southern Cloud sacred body and brought along the 5-phase beads and many other secret treasures. Actually, every avatar could be considered a true body. There's no difference. It's just that the secret treasures and resources were limited. Naturally, they were all concentrated on one avatar. This white-robed avatar was also responsible for external operations. There's one last matter. Once it's settled, we can return. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a grin. Prince. The 2 maids outside the quiet room hurriedly bowed respectfully. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. His original servant, Mo Long, had already been sent to Feishua City. After all, his parents in this life lacked powerful subordinates. Swoosh! With a single step, Dongbua Shui Ying disappeared into thin air. He went straight to the palace and approached the place where his master cultivated. Teleportation was prohibited in Master's cultivation area. Master! Dongbua Shui Ying landed on the black grass field. Looking at the seated Southern Cloud King, he immediately bowed. I just felt the commotion caused by your Skybreaker. You came out so quickly? I thought you would have to cultivate for a period after breaking through. Southern Cloud King chuckled. Didn't I reincarnate? There's no need to consolidate it. Dongbua Shui Ying joked. Since everyone thought that he was a reincarnated cosmos god, Shui Ying naturally acknowledged it. This was also beneficial to his plan. Huh? Southern Cloud King extended his hand. A set of luxurious black robe appeared in his hand. Following that, it floated over to Dongbua Shui Ying. This is? Dongbua Shui Ying received it with a puzzled expression. Feel it for yourself. Southern Cloud King grinned. For the sake of getting this Devil Emperor gown, he had spent a huge amount of effort. He had to infiltrate the intelligence network across the entire realm Heart Great Land to find out where the Devil Emperor gown was. He had even exchanged a precious treasure with Clear Sky Godmaster for this Devil Emperor gown. After Dongbua Shui Ying received it, he rapidly refined it. From refining it, one could see the difference between the two origin worlds, the realm Heart Great Land and the Primal Chaos Void. Secret treasures from the Primal Chaos Void were refined crudely, and most required a long time to refine them. As for secret treasures from the realm Heart Great Land, they were refined more exquisitely. They could even allow cultivators to fight against those of a higher realm. Furthermore, they could refine them at a rapid pace. The moment he refined it, Dongbua Shui Ying caressed the luxurious black robe. At that moment, the black robe began emitting light. Dongbua Shui Ying only felt his consciousness entering a vast world. This world was vast, and it was shrouded in fog. Many sentient beings lived in this world. Those shrouds of fog were currently tunneling into the soul of Dongbua Shui Ying. World? Soul? Dongbua Shui Ying was enlightened. How is it? Southern Cloud King chuckled. I've mentioned that I'll find a cosmos secret treasure suitable for your lineage. It is called the Devil Emperor gown, and the previous owner called himself Devil Emperor. After building a nation, a large number of his subordinates became loyal and devoted to him. Even after he died, they were still fearlessly fighting against their enemies. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a joyous look. This Devil Emperor gown is a fusion of the illusory realm and soul in the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. Mirage and Illusory Realm. Dongbua Shui Ying searched through the information of many secret treasures. He knew that the Tao of Mirage was split into 5 branches: world, soul, bewilderment, desire, and slaughter. World referred to the illusory realm. It was also the Tao path that Dongbua Shui Ying used to become a cosmos god. Bewilderment, like the ringing sound of the Devil Heart Bell, belonged to the bewilderment lineage. Soul referred to a technique that directly controlled the soul. It allowed the controlled person to be absolutely loyal to the owner. Desire referred to love, hate, greed, lust, joy, anger, worry, and other emotions and desires. Slaughter was the only offensive technique in the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. The entire Mirage and Illusory Realm nurtured a killing technique that directly pierced through the soul. Those who could not resist would have their souls extinguished. That time, when Dongbua Shui Ying created the Destruction Flower, he had to materialize a killing technique within reality. In the true Mirage and Illusory Realm, slaughter was a technique that directly attacked the soul. Southern Cloud King chuckled when he saw that. Haha, it's good that you like it. Amen. Dongbua Shui Ying did not say anything else. He directly accepted it. He would remember this favor and repay his teacher in the future. Hua. With a thought, the black luxurious robe landed on the body of Dongbua Shui Ying. Wearing the black luxurious robe, Dongbua Shui Ying gave off a horrifying attraction. It felt as if others could not help but be infatuated with him, living and dying for him. This was even before Dongbua Shui Ying displayed this secret treasure. Just the aura of the secret treasure itself was so frightening. If Dongbua Shui Ying were to use it, most first-level cosmos gods could not resist against it. It was useless even if they had secret treasures that could allow them to fight against those of a higher realm, because this technique targeted the soul. Secret treasures could not protect the soul. This was also the frightening aspect of experts who specialized in soul techniques. Currently, Dongbua Shui Ying had the Devil Emperor gown. He was much stronger than some second-level cosmos gods who did not have top-graded secret treasures like Fiery Zhao King and Maple Nest King. Who? With a thought, the luxurious black robe turned into a white robe. Furthermore, its aura was concealed, making it ordinary. It was just that there were many beautiful and colorful patterns beneath the white robe. Good. Southern Cloud King was delighted when he saw that. With the Devil Emperor gown, and by relying on the 5-phase beads, you can unleash the 5 phases sealing technique to grand perfection. With these 2 great killing techniques, it is sufficient for you to move unhindered across the realm heart great land. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Teacher, I have another matter. Haha, if there is anything between us, just say it directly. Southern Cloud King said. Currently, Dongbua Shui Ying was his most important helper. I can impart the 9 rotation undying technique to the pinnacle of voidification at the primal chaos realm. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. I intend to sell it to the Fan Clan, Summer Clan, and others. You can impart it to others? Southern Cloud King was startled. Are you sure you can impart this cultivation technique to others? Dongbua Shuang nodded. Of course. This was created by him. He wanted to rely on this cultivation technique to exchange for some more precious cultivation techniques. After returning to his hometown, he did not have any secret treasures that could allow him to fight against those of a higher realm. Naturally, he would need some sufficiently powerful cultivation techniques. Even though these techniques could not allow him to fight against those of a higher realm, but he could infinitely approach it, like the 5 phases sealing technique. Even without any secret treasures, a primal chaos expert could unleash it close to the 10th level in power. Even though his teacher, Southern Cloud King, was wealthy, the strongest secret importation techniques were practically in the hands of the Apex organizations. I can impart it to others? I have to consider this properly. I mustn't sell it at a loss. The pupils of Southern Cloud King dilated. He began contemplating. Chapter 1106. P.S. The previous description of the Cosmos God is slightly buggy, but the meaning is the same. Cosmos gods were divided into 3 levels. The first level was also the weakest level, the second level was slightly higher, and the third level was the highest. Ancestor Fan, Emperor Xia, Emperor Tsong, the Realm Beast King, Drifter, and the others, including Sacred Master and Old Monster Stone from the Primal Chaos Void, were all existences on the third level. Only in the Realm Heart Great Land, those who relied on powerful secret treasures could surpass their realm and unleash a terrifying strength. Following this, they would use this as the basis. Dongbua Shuang stood at the side obediently. He had sold the 9 rotation undying technique for a high enough price. He was far inferior to his master. His teacher was one of the most ambitious and ruthless characters in the Realm Heart Great Land. He had a much deeper understanding of the various superpowers than Shuang. He had even fought with some invincible existences. What do you plan to exchange for? The Southern Cloud King looked at Dongbua Shuang. It's mainly some top-notch secret manuals of the Tao, of Void, and Tao of Mirage. Naturally, it would be good if there are top-notch secret treasures, Dongbua Shuang said. Southern Cloud King frowned. This 9 rotation undying technique of yours is a primal chaos realm pinnacle voidification technique. It is considered rare. Furthermore, some of the apex cosmos gods want to have the pinnacle of voidification technique. That is an ultra-powerful technique for survival in direct combat. Dongbua Shuang agreed. Emperor Jiyun had reached the pinnacle of voidification. The Divine Lord had spent a lot of effort to kill him. In the end, even the sacred leader failed to obtain the 3 infernal realms cauldron. The pinnacle of voidification is very difficult. Even for cosmos gods and the Tao of Void, reaching the pinnacle of voidification isn't easy. Southern Cloud King said, to some apex existences amongst the cosmos gods, cultivating the Tao of Void to the cosmos god realm is too difficult. The difficulty of reaching the primal chaos realm was much lower. There are still quite a few people who want this technique of yours. Dongbua Shuang nodded slightly. But you want top secret techniques, or even top-grade secret treasures? The Southern Cloud King gently shook his head. Among the 6 great ancient nations, the Icy Snow Ancient Nation has 3 unparalleled existences, but all of them are body refiners. Therefore, the body refinement technique of the Icy Snow Ancient Nation was the most powerful. As for the other secret importation techniques, they were very weak. Even that King Sauron was willing to join the Fan Clan because of this reason. Your Tao of Void and Tao of Mirage are not what the icy snow ancient country is good at. I know. Dongbo Shuang laughed as well. This icy snow ancient country is quite unique. Body refinement had to reach the pinnacle. They had truly focused on cultivating the fleshy body to the third level of Cosmos God Realm. All of them were existences much more perverse than Jiezu back at his hometown. All three patriarchs were like this. The other aspects are too weak. What the icy snow ancient country could do was to rely on their own strength. However, why would the truly powerful ones fear them? Southern Cloud King said, "There's no need to talk about the Moonflower Ancient Nation and the Towering Sky Ancient Nation. Their foundations are too weak. The Primogeniture Ancient Nation also doesn't have many peak secret techniques that are suitable for you." Dongbo Shuang nodded gently. He also understood. In order to obtain what you want, there are only two major powers. One is the Summer Wind Ancient Nation, and the other is the Myriad Realms Ancient Nation. Southern Cloud King said, "Those who had reached grand perfection in the Tao of Void had reached the third level Cosmos God Realm. There were only two of them. One was Emperor Summer. The other was one of the 5 ancestors from the Myriad Realms Ancient Nation, Drifter. Hence, these two superpowers were the most suitable for obtaining the peak secret importation in the Tao of Void. As for those related to the Mirage, Ancestor Fan had reached the second level Cosmos God Realm. That expert from the Towering Sky Ancient Nation had also reached the second level Cosmos God Realm. There is also an expert from the Myriad Realms Ancient Nation who reached the second level Cosmos God Realm in the Mirage. That's right. In the entire Realm Heart Great Land, there had never been a cultivator who reached grand perfection in the Tao of Mirage, reaching the third level Cosmos God Realm, because the Tao of Soul was originally difficult, and there had never been a third level existence in the Tao of Mirage. There are different regions of influence in the Realm Heart Great Land. Southern Cloud King chuckled. My Southern Cloud Nation is close to the Summer Wind Ancient Nation, and the surrounding region is under the influence of the Summer Wind Ancient Nation. Hence, we naturally have to negotiate with the Summer Wind Ancient Nation first. We must not seek out the Myriad Realms Ancient Nation first. That is not giving face to the Summer Wind Ancient Nation and offend them. Understood. Dongbo Shuang nodded. Summer Wind Ancient Nation has what you want. I'll try my best to help. In the end, it's up to you to decide. Southern Cloud King said, "Oh right, do you mind selling it to other ancient nations after selling it to the Summer Wind Ancient Nation?" "I don't mind." Dongbo Shuang chuckled. His core was his hometown, the primal chaos void. This was merely a springboard for him. It did not matter if he sold it to several other ancient nations. "Since you don't mind, it'll depend on whether the Summer Wind Ancient Nation mind or not." Southern Cloud King chuckled. "If they don't allow us to sell it to other ancient nations, they will have to increase the price." After negotiating with his teacher, Southern Cloud King, his teacher naturally sent a message to the 3 great clans of the Summer Wind Ancient Nation, stating that he could sell the original copy of the pinnacle of voidification technique, the 9-rotation undying technique that Dongbo Shuang displayed to the 3 great clans. Southern Cloud Nation, Royal Palace, Jin Palace. The rainbow gold 3-dust incense that was as thick as an arm and worth more than 100 million cosmos crystals had already been lit. Its fragrance permeated throughout the entire palace hall. The tables within the palace hall were extremely exquisite, and the 3 female attendants by the side were all primal chaos magic servants. There were 2 tables by the side of the palace hall. The black-robed Southern Cloud King and the white-robed young man, Dongbo Shuang, were both waiting silently before their respective tables. The 3 female attendants were waiting by the side of the 3 tables respectively. At this moment, there was no one else within 500,000 kilometers of the Jin Palace. All the guards and female attendants had been sent away. Today, even the other disciples of Southern Cloud King, including Monarch Skyene, were forbidden from approaching this place. Even though the 3 female attendants were primal chaos magic servants, they could still feel an unseen pressure because they knew who they were facing today. Hua, a figure condensed and appeared from nothingness. He was wearing a loose, plain-colored robe. He directly descended and sat opposite of Southern Cloud King and Shui Ying behind that single table. He sat down cross-legged behind it. "Greetings, Your Majesty Emperor Summer." Even though Southern Cloud King and Dongbua Shui Ying were seated cross-legged, they still bowed respectfully. Emperor Summer. He was the most terrifying existence in the entire Realm Heart Great Land. He was vaguely ranked #1 in terms of strength. Just this point alone was sufficient for him to show disdain for other unparalleled existences. He had cultivated 2 Daos to grand perfection. Like Ancestor Fan, Emperor Song, Drifter, and many other unparalleled existences, including Sacred Master and Old Monster Stone in the Primal Chaos Void, they had only cultivated 1 Dao to grand perfection. One had to know how difficult it was to reach grand perfection. The difficulty of cultivating 2 Daos to grand perfection had increased by 10 to 100 times. But an existence like Emperor Summer still appeared. That was why Ancestor Fan and Emperor Song were willing to assist him. Furthermore, the Summer clan surpassed the other 2 great clans in terms of the number of great paragons and the number of geniuses they nurtured. No other choice. Emperor Summer was too formidable. He was simply too good at teaching disciples. Emperor Summer had cultivated both the Tao of Void and Tao of Flame to grand perfection. Other than that, he cultivated other Daos as well. Naturally, he was formidable in teaching disciples. Facing such an existence, how could Southern Cloud King and Dongbua Shui Ying dare to slight him in the slightest? Yingshan Snow Eagle, I've heard that you are willing to sell that 9-rotation undying technique to my Summerwind ancient nation? Emperor Summer chuckled as he looked at Dongbua Shuang. Yes, Dongbua Shuang said. Even without the secret treasure, this Emperor Summer in front of him was an existence more frightening than Sacred Master. Haha, there are 2 cultivation techniques at the pinnacle of voidification at the Primal Chaos Realm in the Realm Heart Great Land. They were created by me and that drifter from the Myriad Realms ancient nation, respectively. Emperor Summer said, "This is the 3rd cultivation technique at the pinnacle of voidification at the Primal Chaos Realm. I need to take a look at it before determining its value." All right, Dongbua Shuang nodded. With a flip of his hand, an indistinct book appeared. Of course, he had left behind some restrictions on this book. In the Realm Heart Great Land, there were many more restrictions on imparting absolute arts as compared to the Primal Chaos Void. Of course, given Emperor Summer's strength, he could easily break through these restrictions and impart this absolute art created by Dongbua Shui Ying to outsiders regardless of those restrictions. But firstly, given Emperor Summer's status, he disdained to do so. Secondly, Emperor Summer could disregard the restrictions on some scriptures, but that would affect his Tao heart. Reaching the level of Emperor Summer, what they pursued was to take that final step. They were absolutely unwilling to affect their Tao heart. Who? Emperor Summer received this translucent book. He immediately sent his consciousness in, learning all sorts of profound mysteries of the 9-rotation undying technique. Interesting. Emperor Summer was slightly startled. It is actually a dual cultivation of all 9 branches in the Tao Void. It is actually so concise and ingenious. What Drifter and I created is slightly more complex. Chapter 1107. Emperor Summer and Drifter relied on their grand perfection attainments in the Tao of Void and the profound mysteries at the Primal Chaos Realm to reach the pinnacle of voidification. As for the complexity of cultivating it, they did not care about it. It was not easy to create it. And strictly speaking, Dongbua Shui Ying had a reference, the Destruction Devil General Mo Gu Scale Armor inscriptions. Those scale armor inscriptions were formed naturally when the Destruction Devils were nurtured in the origin world. Simply put, it was naturally formed under the supreme law. Even though Emperor Summer and Drifter were formidable, they were still lacking when compared to the natural formation of the supreme law. they were still lacking in terms of simplicity and ingenuity. It is indeed simple and ingenious. Southern Cloud King chuckled. I am incredibly shocked after seeing it. But it has a weakness too, even though it is more ingenious and easier than what Drifter and I created. Emperor Summer shook his head, but the difficulty of cultivating it is still high. How hard is it to cultivate 9 branches? It is not bad for cultivators of the Tao of Void to cultivate 3 or 4 branches of the Primal Chaos realm. But to cultivate all 9 branches? That is too difficult. It is much harder than the 5 phases sealing technique. But it has a strong point too. Southern Cloud King added, this 9-rotation undying technique could allow cultivators of the Tao of Void to comprehend all 9 branches of the Primal Chaos realm. If I could obtain this cultivation technique in the past, I would have reached the pinnacle of all 9 branches at the first level Cosmos God realm. Furthermore, the fusion is simple and ingenious. It would be helpful to fuse the Daos in the future. Emperor Summer chuckled. Reaching the pinnacle of all 9 branches? Fusing them together? How could it be that easy? Emperor Summer said, ultimately, it cannot escape from the flaw of cultivation difficulty. The only advantage is that it allows cultivators at the Primal Chaos realm to comprehend the 9 branches. My Summer Wind, Ancient Nation, and the 3 great clans can buy this secret technique, but I hope that other than the citizens of the Southern Cloud Nation, you are forbidden from teaching it to other organizations. My 3 great clans can give you a total of 300,000 contribution points. These 300,000 contribution points can be exchanged for any treasures within the 3 great clans. With his identity, the moment he spoke, it was impossible to bargain. Forbidden from teaching it to other organizations? Southern Cloud King said, what if we want to? Then we can only reduce the price by half. 150,000 contribution points. He felt that this technique was quite valuable, far more valuable than the one he and Drifter had created. Southern Cloud King turned to Dongbua Shuang. Snow Eagle, you decide. He was still very satisfied. If not, the Summer Wind Ancient Nation would have to fork out 300,000 contribution points. This was enough to exchange for a peak-grade secret treasure. It was too difficult to obtain a top-graded secret treasure in the Realm Heart Great Land. Even the 6 great ancient nations had the help of the old ancestors. But experts from other nations had to risk their lives and rely on luck to get their hands on a top-graded secret treasure. Now, a secret technique could be sold at such a price? What great profit! But to sell at such a price, first, it had to be valuable, and second, it had to be unique. Even though Southern Cloud King got the 3 realms technique, he was not the only one who had it. Hence, he was not qualified to sell it at high price. Moreover, he only had 1 copy of the 3 realms technique. Unlike Dongbua Shuang, who could impart it to others, he could casually create several original copies of it. Your Majesty Emperor Summer, I wish to see what secret importation treasure I can exchange for. Dongbua Shuang said. All right. Emperor Summer nodded. He waved his hand. Hua! Many densely packed golden words appeared in midair. The 3 female attendants by the side did not even lift their heads to look. This was the benefit of magic servants. They were absolutely loyal and would listen to orders obediently. Dongbua Shuang looked up. From the perspective of his inner heart, he naturally hoped to sell it to other ancient nations so that he could obtain more benefits. Because Dongbua Shuang was clear that there were too few techniques which unparalleled existences would find valuable and which he could impart to others. Just like his hometown Primal Chaos Void cultivation technique, only Sacred Master had reached grand perfection. Dongbua Shuang did not know how strong Old Monster Stone was. Would Sacred Master impart the absolute art he created to him? Even if Sacred Master was willing to impart it to others, Ying could not do anything about it. The Primal Chaos Void and Realm Heart Great Land were too far away. Ying could only connect them through the memories of his avatars. Ying had to learn a secret importation technique before he could impart it to others. He had to reach the peak before he could learn a secret importation technique, right? By then, he would be a level 3 Cosmos God. Furthermore, He had to cultivate in the same direction as Sacred Master. Hence, it was hopeless. As for others, absolute arts were even lower in value. As for level 2 cosmos gods, unless it was the Tao of Soul, it was hard to sell it for a high price. It had to be stunning. It had to be rare. Shui Ying's 9-rotation undying technique was rare. Furthermore, it had the advantage of being concise and ingenious. If it were similar to what Emperor Summer and Drifter created, its value would likely be lower by a level, only 20 to 30% of the current price. But if he wanted to create a new one, he really didn't know when he would be able to. Mn, Dongboi, Shui Ying, and Southern Cloud King both looked up at the densely packed golden words. Snow Eagle, you currently have 40,000 contribution points. Even if you want to impart it to other ancient nations, the Summer Wind Ancient Nation is willing to give you 150,000 contribution points. These 150,000 contribution points can be exchanged with any of the 3 great clans. Even if the Fan clan is doing poorly, it isn't hard for you to earn another 10,000 contribution points in the future. Once you accumulate 200,000, you will get a top-graded secret treasure. Southern Cloud King transmitted, we can also sell it to other ancient nations to exchange for something you want. There's no rush for a top-graded secret treasure. Dongboi Shuang replied. What he valued the most was still his hometown. Paying a huge price for a top-graded secret treasure? The experts in Realm Heart Great Land were willing, but he was not, because secret treasures could not be brought back. Isn't the chaotic origin Tao scroll a secret importation technique that leads straight to the peak? And it requires 100,000 contribution points? Dongboi Shui Ying asked with slight astonishment. Usually, it was a secret importation technique that led straight to the peak with 100,000 function points. Even though Tao could not be imparted easily, in reality, under normal circumstances, a top-graded secret importation technique will be cheaper than a top-graded secret treasure. Because level 2 cosmos gods could immediately fight against those of a higher level once they acquired a suitable top-graded secret treasure. And if it was merely a top-graded secret importation technique, it would not be of any help to the cultivator. Naturally, there are differences between top-graded secret importations. For instance, the unphased mystical technique, which contained all the techniques of Ancestor Fan, required 300,000 contribution points. If one were to disassemble the unphased mystical technique into a powerful top-graded cultivation technique, 100,000 contribution points would suffice. It states that there are only 2 levels in the chaotic origin Tao scroll. One is small success, and the other is large success. A level 2 cosmos god could hope to reach large success in it. Dongboi Shui Ying said, and it requires 100,000 contribution points? Yes. Emperor Summer nodded. The chaotic origin Tao scroll is something I created. It contains both combat techniques and body refinement techniques. It is a void cultivation technique that I use to break through the cage of the origin world and utilize the chaotic origin energy from the external world. It can be said to be an apex cultivation technique at the same level. At the same level, it is stronger than the 5 phases sealing technique. It is the most perfect cultivation technique for the Tao of Void that I created. It's a pity that I have yet to create the final level. I only have the first 2 levels. That is why it only costs 100,000 contribution points. Dongboi Shui Ying mumbled, though he felt satisfied in his heart. What he wanted was a cultivation technique that was sufficiently heaven-defying. Furthermore, this was a Tao of Void cultivation technique that utilized the mysterious chaotic origin energy after breaking through the cage of the origin world. Emperor Summer mentioned that this was the most perfect cultivation technique for the Tao of Void, yet he had yet to create the 3rd level. It was absolutely the most suitable cultivation technique for him to improve his strength. Even though the difficulty of cultivating it was high, his foundation in the Tao of Void was deep, and he cultivated all 9 branches simultaneously. Naturally, he was confident of grasping it. All right, I'll choose the chaotic origin Tao scroll and Heart Realm. Dongboi Shuang said. Heart Realm was the strongest scripture in the Mirage created by Ancestor Fan. It was merely a scripture that reached the level 2 cosmos god level, yet it required a total of 80,000 contribution points. A total of 180,000 contribution points. Emperor Summer nodded. Do you plan on imparting it to other ancient nations? I do plan to do so. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. I have 40,000 contribution points in the Fan clan. In addition to this 150,000 contribution points, I'm left with 10,000 contribution points after exchanging for the 2 secret importation techniques. Southern Cloud King could not help but transmit from the side when he saw that. Snow Eagle, you are exchanging for secret importation techniques? You don't want any treasures? Treasures were the fastest way to improve one's strength. Top-graded secret treasures. There's no rush. Dongbua Shuiying transmitted back. After returning to his hometown, what he needed the most were the strongest secret importation techniques in the Tao of Void and Tao of Mirage. Clearly, he had chosen them. These 2 were the strongest absolute arts at the same level, and were beyond the 5 phases sealing technique. Naturally, the price would be higher. One had to know that 180,000 contribution points would be equivalent to 180 billion cosmos crystals. Furthermore, nobody would be willing to exchange for it. Because contribution points could be exchanged for cosmos crystals, but cosmos crystals could not be exchanged for contribution points. Such a luxurious opportunity to choose from the scriptures in the Summer Wind ancient nation would most likely come once in a very long time. These 2 great secret importation techniques. They were also what he relied on to fight against the Sacred Master when he returned to his hometown. You have to go to the Summer Wind capital to learn these 2 secret importation techniques. Emperor Summer said, it is slightly complicated to learn the chaotic origin Tao scroll. Chapter 1108. Everything was settled. You can go to the Fan Clan Magic Mountain to learn the Heart Realm. Head directly to the Summer Wind Ancient Nation's Royal Palace for the Chaotic Origin Tao Scroll. There will naturally be someone there to receive you. Emperor Summer took that original copy, personally written by Dongbua Shuiying, before disappearing from the place. Within the Jean Cloud Palace Hall, only the 3 female attendants, Dongbua Shuiying and Southern Cloud King, were left. Southern Cloud King let out a sigh of relief. He still felt pressured when facing Emperor Summer. Snow Eagle, if you had a more powerful cultivation technique, you would be able to earn more. Emperor Summer sighed. Dongbua Shuiying chuckled. I still have to discuss with my religion. Ordinary cultivation techniques were not worth much. Like the Chaotic Origin Tao Scroll, it was created by an unparalleled existence like Emperor Summer by fusing the chaotic origin energy from outside the origin world into the Tao of Void. It was hailed as the strongest at the same level. Just 2 levels of it cost 100,000 contribution points to learn at once. If he had the original copy, he could impart it to others endlessly. It would absolutely be more expensive than the 9-rotation undying technique. It's a pity the stronger and rarer a cultivation technique was, the harder it was to create it. Should we contact the other 5 great ancient nations now? Emperor Summer looked at Dongbua Shuiying. No rush. I'll first cultivate these 2 secret importation techniques before making my decision. Dongbua Shuiying answered. He had to be cautious when selling the 9-rotation undying technique. He was afraid he might not be able to find another suitable cultivation technique for a long time. That day, Summer Wind Capital. Who? Entering through the city gates, a white-robed Dongbua Shuiying floated above the Summer Wind Capital. Being a great expert in the mirage and illusory realm, his aura was illusory and ethereal. It was hard for others to discern his strength, but those with slightly better eyesight could deduce that this white-robed young man should be incredibly powerful. Amen. Dongbua Shuiying, who originally planned to head to the Fan Clan Magic Mountain to learn the Heart Realm, suddenly frowned. He turned towards a certain direction. Karma. Dongbua Shuiying muttered. A universe was relatively small. Its internal workings made it easier to spy on the karma of countless living beings. Furthermore, an origin world was much bigger, and the supreme law was even more unreachable. There were many cosmos gods, and the difficulty of karma was much higher. But after becoming a cosmos god, he would form his own cosmos law. At the region he was at, the supreme law would retreat, and he could detect all traces, including karma. There were many difficulties in investigating karma. For example, the further the distance, the more difficult it would be to detect. For example, the stronger one was, the more difficult it would be to investigate. For instance, Dongbua Shui Ying's soul had fused with the chaotic origin energy aura from outside the origin world. Hence, it was incredibly difficult to investigate the karma of Dongbua Shui Ying. It was much harder than ordinary cosmos gods. Even the invincible existences could not track down Dongbua Shui Ying. This was also the reason why Sacred Master could not locate the avatar of Mount Chai Mei. I feel that within the summer wind capital, there's a little fellow who is tangled with my karma. He seems to be in big trouble. Dongbua Shui Ying focused his senses before turning towards a direction. Hua! Taking a step, Dongbua Shui Ying soundlessly disappeared. Within the summer wind capital, within the hidden Wind Valley prison located by the boundary of the Fan Clan Magic Mountain. Ooh, the cold wind was biting into one's bones. It whistled within the canyon. There were many cavern prisons on the walls of the canyon. Many prisoners were locked within. Within one of the cavern prisons, Ba Tuo Chan was currently seated cross-legged within the cavern prison. His hair was disheveled, and his entire body was dirty. He sat here silently. Dong! A guard walked to the entrance of the prison. He threw in a pile of strange metals. There were so many that it formed a small mountain. Refine and purify everything within a month. The guard angrily shouted from outside. Ba Tuo Chin looked up with his cold eyes. The prison door wasn't a material door. Instead, it was an unseen array restriction. Brat, who asked you to offend Prince C? Just accept your misfortune. The guard sneered before leaving. Ba Tuo Chan looked at the pile of strange metals in front of him. His heart was burning with fury. His eyes were flashing with hatred. In the past, the Ba Tuo clan was exterminated. His wife actually deliberately infiltrated their clan, causing Ba Tuo Chen's heart to distort. But because he was saved by Dongbua Shui Ying and sent to the Summer Wind Ancient Nation, he saw hope. Only then did his mental state recover slightly. But in a short year, he saw the dark side of the biggest city in Realm Heart Great Land, the Summer Wind Capital. It isn't time yet. Wait till I get out. There will be a day when all of them will die. Ba Tuo Chun roared in his heart. He closed his eyelids. With a wave of his hand, those strange metals flew towards him. He then began refining these metals in an obedient manner. Who? Suddenly, Ba Tuo Chun felt something and looked over. There was a white-robed young man standing outside the unseen array restriction. He stepped on the void and arrived outside the prison with just 2 to 3 steps. He chuckled. Ha, Brat Bada, how did you end up in such a miserable state? Ba Tuo Chun looked at the white-robed young man in a daze. He muttered, Senior Ying Shan, Snow Eagle. Who? Dongbua Shui Ying waved his hand. He executed the destructive realm teleportation technique, opening up a passage directly into the interior of the prison. At the same time, he ordered, Why aren't you coming out? Ba Tuo Chun looked at the distorted spatial passage in front of him. He did not enter. Instead, he said, Senior, I've offended Prince C from the Fuya clan. That Prince C is a disciple of a cosmos god from the Fan clan, Monarch Jade Serpent. There is no need for Senior to save me. He had already found out that Senior Ying Shan Snow Eagle was a great 10th level expert from the Southern Cloud Nation. His talent was incomparably talented, and he was more terrifying than most 10th level experts. But no matter what, he was someone from outside the nation. He would be discriminated against in the Summer Wind Ancient Nation, much less when Prince C was a disciple of Monarch Jade Serpent from the Fan clan. Even though Ba Tuo Chen's heart had become distorted after a year of torture, he was genuinely grateful to Ying Shan Snow Eagle, because this was the person who helped him in the darkness without asking for anything in return. I asked you to come out, so just come out. Dongbua Shui Ying lightly roared. The moment his voice came out, Ba Tuo-chun could not help but stand. He followed along the passage and walked out. Only when he came out did his spirit jolt awake. Ba Tuo-chun felt incredibly shocked. He turned back at the prison. He actually came out unknowingly? He was being controlled? Master, this Shan Snow Eagle is extremely frightening. Cosmos gods would most likely be controlled by him. Currently, I am still too weak and feel a huge threat from him. That is why I can only hide my aura completely in your soul. A voice sounded in the soul of Ba Tuo-chun. Senior Shan Snow Eagle doesn't have any malicious intent towards me. Ba Tuo-chun communicated through his soul. How dare you? How dare you barge into the hidden Wind Valley prison of my Fan clan? A loud roar came from afar. A black-robed, muscular male flew over from afar. Behind him were other protectors. That black-robed, muscular male looked at the escaping Ba Tuo-chun with incomparable fury. He coldly chuckled. Ba Tuo-chun, it is fortunate that you survived the soul refining. Who would have thought that you were still trying to escape? Do you think the prison of my Fan clan is a place you can escape from? Also, this is your helper. He seems to have some techniques to be able to sneak into my Fan clan's prison. Everyone, go and kill them all at once. The black-robed, muscular male took the lead and brandished his whip. Hua! The whip brought along thunder as it arced through the sky. It formed an enormous arc before fiercely lashing on the body of the black-robed, muscular male, causing his skin and flesh to split apart. Fresh blood dripped down. The black-robed, muscular male howled in grief. His face revealed a look of excitement. Do you know how powerful I am now? Ha! He shouted with his mouth before continuing brandishing his whip. Pa 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 pa! Whip after whip landed on his own body, causing him a howl in grief. Nevertheless, he still had an excited look on his face. The other protectors by the side were dumbfounded. They even transmitted their voices to this comrade of theirs. Yet it was useless. Ba Tuo-chun watched this scene dumbfoundedly. This black-robed, muscular male was specifically targeting him in the hidden Wind Valley prison because it was young Master C who instructed him to do so. But now, this black-robed, muscular male was whipping himself? He was after all a primal chaos expert. Dongbua Ying stood in midair outside the cave as he watched calmly. He did not wish to start a massacre. He still had to give the Fan clan some face. He was also too lazy to reveal his identity and grumble with these protectors. The reason why he taught this black-robed muscular male a lesson was because Dongbua Ying could see that this black-robed muscular male had a deep karmic connection with Ba Tuo-chun. Clearly, there was enmity between them. He is here. Dongbua Ying looked up. A black-robed male appeared in the distance, causing Dongbua Ying to reveal a look of shock, skyrending Great Paragon. He had indeed informed skyrending Great Paragon before coming to learn the Heart Realm. He had also informed skyrending Great Venerable in advance that he was coming to Hidden Wind Valley Prison to save people, saving a Unity Realm brat. Skyrending Great Paragon immediately agreed to it. This was an unremarkable matter. So. One figure after another quickly appeared. The true higher-ups of the Hidden Wind Valley prison, including a cosmos god and several other primal chaos existences, appeared nervously. A large number of protectors, including the black-robed, muscular male who whipped himself, had regained his consciousness. They also saw the distant skyrending Great Paragon. Greetings, Great Paragon. All of them respectfully bowed in unison. The status of skyrending Great Paragon was too high. He was also the manager of the entire Fan clan, and his status was slightly more unique than the other 5 Great Paragons. He actually came to the Hidden Wind Valley prison. This was a prison located at the outermost boundary of the Devil Mountain, and it had a very low status. The truly important prisons were used to imprison serious criminals, and the security was much stricter. Upper honored guest Feishua. Skyrending Great Paragon chuckled as he looked at the distant Dongbua Ying. Dongbua Ying also walked over. He had unknowingly controlled the void to bring along Ba Tuo-chun, who was behind him. I am merely helping a brat who has some fate with me. Who would have thought that great paragon would come personally? Dongbua Shui Ying added. Ha ha! Since I'm already at the Fan Clan Devil Mountain, I will naturally come and meet you. Skyrending Great Paragon laughed. He turned to Ba Tuo Chun by the side. This is the brat you saved? Ba Tuo Chun became even more nervous. The other existence in his soul had completely held its breath. Skyrending Great Paragon, the number 2 existence in the Fan Clan. He was a terrifying existence, second only to Old Ancestor Fan. Just Skyrending Great Paragon alone stood at the apex of the entire realm heart Great Land. Should we enter the Devil Mountain now? Skyrending Great Paragon asked. All right, Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. He turned to Ba Tuo Chun. Ba Tuo Chun, where are you planning to go? Chapter 1109. Senior, it's better for me to leave the summer wind ancient nation now that I have offended an enemy. Ba Tuo Chun said. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded his head and waved his hand. Rip. Using the destructive world teleportation technique, Ba Tuo Chun opened up a spatial tunnel. He looked gratefully at Dongbua Shui Ying and said in a low voice, Senior's great kindness. I don't know when this junior will be able to repay you. With that said, he turned and left, stepping into the tunnel and disappearing. Upon seeing this, Dongbua Shui Ying chuckled. My heart is the heart of heaven. Towards the countless weak Dongbua Shui Ying, he did not view them as ants. Instead, he felt pity for them. In his eyes, Ba Tuo Chun was a pitiful fellow. First, his entire clan was wiped out. Then, he was sent to the summer wind ancient nation by him before offending an enemy. Being imprisoned in the Fan Clan's prison, if Shui Ying didn't rescue him, he might not be able to come out alive. Brother Feishua, shall we go? Skyrending Great Paragon asked. I'll have to trouble Great Sovereign then. Dongbua Shui Ying felt that the Great Sovereign was indeed giving him a lot of face. There's no need to stand on ceremony with me, the heaven-ripping Great Monarch said with a smile. Then, he left with Dongbua Shui Ying. The other higher-ups and guards in the prison were secretly horrified when they saw this. Exalted foreign elder Feishua is valued so highly by the great senior. Many of the upper echelons were secretly shocked. Quick, inform young Master Hai. At this moment, the black-robed, brawny man's heart was still trembling. He actually wanted to use his whip to whip the terrifying powerhouse that even sky-ripping Great Venerable treated with such respect. Young Master C. Puya Hai was currently listening to his teacher, Monarch Jade Serpent, with the other disciples. Surprise flashed across Sovereign Jade Serpent's eyes as he shouted, Everyone else leave. Puya Hai stay. Immediately, all the disciples retreated. Mr. C sat alone below, looking up at his master, but then he also received a message. You're all so dirty. Monarch Jade Snake frowned as she glanced at her disciple. Teacher, I've never thought that he is related to that Yingshan Snow Eagle. Yingshan Snow Eagle is merely a cultivator from outside the nation. Why is there a need to care so much about him? Prince C could not help but add. Monarch Jade Serpent coldly snorted. Fool, upper honored guest Feishue is a reincarnated expert. He can use a technique that allows him to achieve the pinnacle of voidification at the primal chaos realm. His origin is probably shocking. Furthermore, with his current strength, I'm afraid I'm no match for him. He was clear that a cosmos god in the Tao of Mirage had reached an unfathomable level in the Tao of Void. This Snow Eagle's strength was unfathomable. At the very least, he could tell that the other party was stronger than him. Mr. C was shocked. That Ba Tuo Chun, I have ordered people to investigate. He is a lucky kid from the Thistleflower Kingdom's Ba Tuo clan. That time, Yingshan Snow Eagle passed by the Thistleflower Nation and saved him. They did not have a deep relationship with each other. This Yingshan Snow Eagle is too kind. Monarch Jade Serpent said, If you want to deal against Ba Tuo Chun, you must do it cleanly. Leave no trace. I understand. Mr. C nodded. Being a disciple of the Fan Clan, Shui Ying naturally had some techniques that could prevent others from finding him. He allowed you to escape? You are actually so lucky to form a relationship with Yingshan Snow Eagle. I can't offend Sean Snow Eagle, but do you think I can't deal with a brat like you? Mr. C knew that the enmity between him and Ba Tua Chan was already huge. Previously, Mr. C wanted to make use of trash. Now that Ba Tua Chan had escaped, Mr. C had to find a chance to eliminate him. Myriad Realms, Ancient Nation, Limitless City. Limitless City was the place where one of the 5 ancestors of the Myriad Realms, Ancient Nation, Limitless City Master, lived. It was also one of the 5 great cities in the Myriad Realms, Ancient Nation. Because of the temperament of Limitless City Master and the laws he set, it resulted in Limitless City being the most orderly city out of the 5 great cities in the Myriad Realms, Ancient Nation. Amen? In the vast wilderness outside Limitless City, a dispirited young man walked out from a distorted spatial passage. He was none other than Ba Tua Chun, who was sent here by Dongbo Shuang. Ba Tua Chun looked at the vast city in front of him. He muttered, "Myriad Realms, Ancient Nation, Limitless City? It is extremely orderly and far from the Summer Wind, Ancient Nation. Senioring Sean Snow Eagle is truly considerate of me." Ba Tua Chun felt complex in his heart. Even though the prison of the Fan clan was terrifying, according to his original plan, it was still possible for him to escape after spending a long time there. But since Sean Snow Eagle saved him, it would allow him to escape from the prison earlier. That would allow him to truly fly as high as the sky, allowing his strength to greatly improve. Senioring Sean Snow Eagle, I am currently weak. In the future, I, Ba Tua Chun, will definitely repay you. Ba Tua Chun thought. Master, a place that is too orderly isn't suitable for you to grow. We have to go to a chaotic place. A voice sounded in the soul of Ba Tua Chun. Amen. Master doesn't have to be anxious. Since Master could get through the soul refinement trial of Old Master, your talent is extremely high. You are the most suitable inheritor that Old Master has found over a long period of time. As long as Master diligently cultivates, it is entirely possible for you to fight against existences like Sean Snow Eagle in the future. You might even surpass him and stand at the apex of the entire Realm Heart Great Land. Even though the order here is good, it isn't a place where I should stay. Let's go. Send me out of this place. Ba Tua Chun glanced at Limitless City. Yes, Master. At that moment, an unseen ripple enveloped Ba Tua Chun. Following that, he disappeared from the place. Dongbo Shuang did not know that his act of saving this little fellow Ba Tua Chun would bring about a storm in the future. At this moment, he was being led by Scarinding Great Paragon to see the strongest scripture in the mirage of the Fan clan, Heart Realm. Caressing the thick black scripture, a large amount of information surged into his mind. Amazing, amazing. Dongbo Shuang was a cosmos god who cultivated the Tao of Mirage. Naturally, his vision was extremely high. He immediately discovered how terrifying this Heart Realm scripture was. Ultimately, it was a mirage cultivation technique deduced by an unparalleled existence, Ancestor Fan, who cultivated the Tao of Mirage. It was the strongest mirage scripture in the Summer Wind, Ancient Nation. Skyrending Great Paragon, I've already learned this cultivation technique. I'll be heading to the Royal Palace first. Dongbo Shuang said. Good. Haha. If there are any suitable secret importation techniques, you can continue selling them to my Fan clan. Skyrending Great Paragon chuckled. The reason why he treated Sean Snow Eagle so courteously was because his strength was secondary. More importantly, this Snow Eagle could impart the 9-rotation undying technique to others. This was a horrifying cultivation technique that Skyrending Great Paragon believed could only be created after reaching the 3rd level Cosmos God. Since Sean Snow Eagle could impart it to others, it meant that he had a high status in his religion in his previous life. Definitely. Dongbo Shuang acknowledged. He then left the Fan Clan Magic Mountain and arrived at the Royal Palace of the Summer Wind Capital. Deep within the Royal Palace, the impartation of the chaotic Origin Dao Scroll is slightly complicated. Upper honored guest Fei Xue should enter first. A yellow-robed old man brought Dongbua Shui Ying to a hidden palace hall deep underground. At the center of the palace hall, there was a unique stone pillar floating. At this moment, a door opened on the stone pillar. Once you enter the stone pillar, remember to maintain the pinnacle of voidification. Otherwise, you'll feel agony. All right. Dongbua Shuang nodded. He took a step into the stone pillar. This was a trade between him and Emperor Summer. If Emperor Summer wanted to kill him, he could simply do so with a wave of his hand. He would not use such a laughable method to plot against him. 1. After entering the stone pillar, the space within was merely 3 meters wide and 9 meters tall. The stone door immediately closed. Following that, the entire stone pillar began emitting golden light. This stone pillar seemed to have turned into a sieve. Many veined patterns could be seen within, and golden light was moving about. Hong long long, the surrounding essence of the void was being torn apart, forming an enormous hole. This pitch-black hole was filled with surging chaotic origin energy. This hole was much bigger than what he could open with his arch destruction. This, Dongbua Shuang felt it. When that incredibly dense chaotic origin energy surged over because it was too dense and huge, it even invaded his fleshy body, causing him to feel a dull pain. And this was under the premise of him executing the pinnacle of voidification. If he did not execute it, it would be as what that array spirit said, agony. The chaotic origin energy poured into his body and similarly into the stone pillar. Only after the chaotic origin energy poured into the stone pillar that was emitting golden light did it turn into many unique black characters. They continuously flowed into the body of Dongbua Shui Ying and into his soul, allowing Dongbua Shui Ying to learn this cultivation technique. This cultivation technique was naturally restricted by the supreme law. Usually, it was impossible to learn it. Only by relying on large amounts of chaotic origin energy could it be imparted. Tearing out such a huge hole in the origin world is something even my teacher can't do, right? Yet this array could do it? Emperor Summer must have spent a lot of effort on it. Dongbua Shuang thought. Emperor Summer had spent a lot of effort in creating this cultivation technique. Yet he had only created 2 levels. Like the heart realm, any mirage and illusory realm scripture related to the soul were usually expensive, and the heart realm was one of the best amongst them. It was normal for it to cost 80,000 contribution points, but a Tao of void scripture that was equivalent to a level 2 cosmos god at the highest level required 100,000 contribution points. This was equivalent to the price of a secret importation technique that reached the peak. Even imparting, it was restricted by the supreme law. One could see how unique it was. Everything regained its peace. That hole in the origin world had long recovered. Wong wong wong. The stone door opened. Dongbua Shuang walked out from within. He revealed a look of excitement on his face. Amazing, amazing. The chaotic origin Tao scroll was truly worth it. Have you learned everything? The yellow-robed old man chuckled. I've learned everything. Dongbua Shui Ying answered. Then the transaction between Upper Honored Guest Fei Xue and my summer clan is completed. I'll send Upper Honored Guest Fei Xue out. The yellow-robed old man chuckled. Southern Cloud Nation, a great city, Fei Xue City. Within the void God Pagoda, the golden-robed Dongbua Shui Ying stealthily came here. Nobody knew that he had entered the void God Pagoda. It is time to return. The golden-robed Dongbua Shui Ying sat cross-legged. He thought. He had gotten the scripture he needed. This was one of the things he relied on in the primal chaos void. He had also become a cosmos god. Everything was ready. I wonder how Jingxiu, Yuer, and Qingyao are doing. Is my hometown primal chaos void still fine? Dongbua Shui Ying felt incredibly nervous. Go, time to return home. With a thought. At that moment, the remaining half of the realm heart order energy that had been entrenched in his soul was activated. That scarlet energy wrapped around the purest strand of true spirit at the core of Dongbua Shui Ying's soul. Hong! The scarlet energy abruptly surged. His soul immediately dissipated like sand. The scarlet energy brought along that strand of true spirit and disappeared. The fleshy body of the golden-robed Dongbua Shui Ying remained there. It was still intact. South, another green-robed avatar of Dongbua Shui Ying flew out from the Eden treasure. After all, the current Dongbua Shui Ying had a total of 9 avatars. The green-robed Dongbua Shui Ying waved his hand, causing this golden-robed, fleshy body to dissipate into the most fundamental energy. The green-robed Dongbua Shui Ying looked toward the direction. He could sense the direction of that strand of true spirit. I hope my plan will succeed. He left behind an avatar to fight in the Realm Heart Great Land. He also had an avatar that returned to his hometown. A strand of true spirit was enveloped by the Realm Heart Order energy. It soon left the Realm Heart Great Land and proceeded to the higher dimensional mysterious space. This time, the true spirit of Dongbua Shui Ying was a cosmos god. Hence, he was much more sensitive to the external world. Nonetheless, he felt a great terror. That higher dimensional mysterious space was not a place he could step into at his current level. I could still sense it. Dongbua Shui Ying could sense the connection between the memories of his avatar in the Realm Heart Great Land. Time might have lost its meaning here. Since he could not determine the flow of time, he only knew that it felt like an eternity. As he proceeded towards the other origin world, the primal chaos void, Dongbua Shui Ying could feel the connection between him and his avatar in the Realm Heart Great Land becoming weaker. This is ultimately just a strand of true spirit at the core of my soul. It is just 1/1000th of my soul. Dongbua Shui Ying thought it is too weak. Hence, it becomes harder to sense it from a distance away. I believe I should be able to sense it once my soul becomes stronger after returning to my hometown. Gradually, he could no longer connect his memories. He could only vaguely sense the existence of his avatar in the Realm Heart Great Land. The energy of the Realm Heart Order was continuously being consumed. It was becoming lesser and lesser. It's here. Dongbua Shui Ying suddenly felt his spirit jolt. Even though he was just a strand of true spirit, he was ultimately a cosmos god, true spirit. His soul was stronger than most void god souls. He could clearly feel himself rapidly approaching an incomparably vast and terrifying fluctuation. Furthermore, that fluctuation was one he was extremely familiar with, the fluctuation of his hometown origin world, the primal chaos void. So, closely following that, under the protection of the remnant energy from the Realm Heart Order, Dongbua Shui Ying's strand of true spirit directly charged into the origin world, the primal chaos void. I'm back. Dongbua Shui Ying, am finally back. Jing Xiao, I'm back. Dongbua Shui Ying was currently filled with excitement. Chapter 1110. Under the protection of the Realm Heart Order's energy, a strand of Dongbua Shui Ying's true spirit was directly sent into an embryo. Having the previous reincarnation experience, he was born as a void god. This time, the life force contained in this embryo was clearly much weaker. Even though it is slightly weaker, it should be a transcendent the moment it is born. This time, its parents should be at the world deity or true god level. Dongbua Shui Ying rapidly deduced. Closely following that, following the fusion of a strand of true spirit with the embryo, Dongbua Shui Ying only felt his true spirit ringing before he lost his consciousness. This was also following the operation of the Supreme Law. It was an ordinary reincarnation. This was something Ancestor Fan, Southern Cloud King, and others who could execute the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique to enter other origin worlds dreamed of, because as an outsider, he would suffer from the suppression and rejection of the supreme law of the entire origin world. Even his strength would be greatly suppressed, and reincarnation required the permission of the supreme law. Clearly, Myriad Realm Tavern Master, that teacher of Mount Chime, Southern Cloud King, Ancestor Fan, and others could not rely on themselves to reincarnate in an origin world. Dongbua Shui Ying relied on the energy from the Realm Heart Order. One time, the energy from the Realm Heart Order was also exhausted. Such an opportunity would not appear a second time. The primal chaos void was grand. It was bigger than the Realm Heart Great Land, and it was constantly expanding. Other than the 5 sacred worlds and the countless universes, there were also many continents in the vast void. Some of these continents were formed by the power of the heavens and the earth condensed by powerful beings. Some were the remnants of the original ancient sacred world when it shattered. When the original ancient sacred world shattered, there was a smaller fragment that was sucked into the depths of a void vortex in the chaotic void. It had very little contact with the outside world. This smaller fragment world was called the Bright Star World by the cultivators living within. South, on a flying ship, there was currently a male and female seated cross-legged. The flying ship was just a few meters long. It traveled through the clouds with a speed as fast as lightning. Chin, there's still one day left before we reach the Black Sky sect. We can make it back in time. The man spoke. He wore a black robe and carried a long sword on his back. His bearing was extraordinary, but there was a hint of anxiety in his eyes. Yes, the woman in white beside him had a look of anticipation in her eyes. She lowered her head and gently stroked her bulging belly. The man also looked at his wife's abdomen. He felt even more anxious and regretful. No matter what, I must protect my wife and child. This little guy is getting bigger and bigger in my stomach. The woman in white stroked her belly and chuckled. It's a boy. When he grows up, he'll definitely be as powerful as Brother You. The man also smiled. That was right. He couldn't forget the first time he used his true God power to check on the child in his wife's belly. It was just a simple check, but his heart trembled. This was his first child, and the only child of his beloved wife. One day, there's only one day left. The man looked ahead. The flying boat was advancing at high speed. Ha ha! Suddenly, a black cloud rolled over. His laughter caused the heaven and earth to tremble. Xiaoyu, Chui Qin, it wasn't easy to find the two of you. The black-robed man and white-robed woman stood up abruptly, looking at the black cloud rolling over from the flying boat. Their expressions changed. Old Devil Golden Horn is here. The husband and wife on the flying boat became anxious. Brother You, what should we do? The white-robed woman Chui Qin asked anxiously. At this time, for our child, we can't care anymore. The black-robed man clenched his teeth. I hope this devil can stop. Senior Golden Horn. The black-robed man looked at the black cloud rolling over and said, We are willing to offer this void god weapon. But Senior has to swear an oath not to, with their temperament. Even if they had to risk their lives, they wouldn't be willing to hand over the void god weapon to a devil. But for their child, they were willing to hand over the treasure. Feeling the heartbeat of their unborn child, the husband and wife had long vowed to let their child be born and grow up safely at all costs. If you had handed it over earlier, I could have let you live. But now, it's too late. The rolling black cloud closed in from afar. In order to chase after you, this old ancestor used the instant teleportation talisman and painstakingly searched your souls for clues. Now, you still want to live? Ha! Come into this old ancestor's stomach. The speed of the black cloud was extremely fast, faster than the flying boat by more than half. It rapidly closed in. The husband and wife on the flying boat felt their hearts turn cold. Chin Yu looked at his wife beside him and said softly, I will hold that old devil back. You escape. Brother You. The white-robed woman Chui Qin's expression changed greatly. My master and I are like father and son. Although I made a mistake, my master won't be too harsh on you. You must take good care of my child. Yu said. Amen. Chui Qin had cultivated for a long time. Although her heart ached, she knew that there was no other way out. Yu extended his hand and caressed his wife's bulging stomach. Feeling the warmth, he said softly, I really wish to see you and hug you. What a pity we aren't fated. South. Following which, Yu transformed into a dazzling sword light and tore through the sky. charging towards the true body of Old Devil Golden Horn amidst the rumbling black cloud. An explosive roar resounded throughout the world. Old Devil die. On the flying boat, the white-robed woman's face was already filled with tears. Seeing her husband disregarding everything to resist, she also did her best to control the flying boat. Quick, quick, go! As long as they were a certain distance away, the flying boat would only need to slightly change its course, and it would be hard to find them again. A day would be sufficient for them to rush back to the sect. As long as her husband could delay Old Devil Golden Horn for a certain period of time, the chances of her escaping to the sect would be very high. Brother you, the white-robed woman's heart was filled with agony. Within the womb of the white-robed woman, a terrifying and tyrannical life form was being nurtured. Wu, Dongbui Shui Ying's consciousness was awakening. His strand of true spirit was too powerful. Even after reincarnating and using his true spirit as the foundation to form a soul, this embryo of a transcendent life form had only awakened when it reached the late stages. It was not far from the day of birth. It's all right. The moment he woke up, he felt a chill run down his spine. Dongbui Shui Ying calmed down. He could sense his other avatars located in another origin world, the Realm Heart Great Land. My soul is still too weak. I can't connect my memories, but I can at least sense the existence of my avatar. This is good news. Dongbui Shui Ying was secretly delighted. What would happen if he reincarnated? He didn't dare to confirm it beforehand. What he feared the most was a situation where his soul could no longer sense the soul of his avatar in Realm Heart Great Land after reincarnating. This was something that Dongbui Shui Ying guessed. After all, it was a soul from two different origin worlds. If such a situation happened, there was only one solution: to let his avatar in the Realm Heart Great Land cultivate as soon as possible, reaching the level 2 Cosmos God Realm in the Tao Void. Only then would he be able to execute the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique. At that time, he would send a clone over using the Great World Breaching teleportation technique, although they would be suppressed if they were sent over. But at least the avatar sent over could act as a bridge, allowing the body in the Primal Chaos Void and the body in the Realm Heart Great Land to exchange memories frequently. Fortunately, it seems that the soul in the Realm Heart Great Land is formed using a strand of my true spirit as the foundation. This reincarnation in the Primal Chaos Void is still using my true spirit as the foundation. Dongbui Shui Ying let out a sigh of relief. When a strand of his true spirit was sent out of the Realm Heart Great Land, it could connect with the memories of his avatar. After reincarnating, it was normal for the soul formed using this strand of true spirit to form a connection with the origin world. How is the outside world? Dongbui Shui Ying's soul was currently slightly weak, but he was a terrifying existence who had reached the Cosmos God Realm in both the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Void. Reaching the Cosmos God Realm, the laws and profound mysteries he comprehended would form a cosmos system. No matter which origin world he was in, he would immediately reach the Cosmos God Realm. Who, relying on the void, his consciousness swept out in all directions. At this moment, the consciousness of an existence high up enveloped the entire Bright Star world. There were many experts in the Bright Star world, yet none could find out about it. After all, the Cosmos God Realm was ranked at the apex across the entire Primal Chaos Void. My parents in this life have met with trouble? Dongbui Shui Ying immediately discovered it. Chapter 11:11. He relied on karma to discover it. Being a piece of land in the Primal Chaos Void, the Bright Star planet operated according to the supreme law. Karma was hard to detect, but once one reached the Cosmos God Realm, even the supreme law would have to retreat. Naturally, karma could not be hidden. Dongbui Shui Ying had just reincarnated and was a brand new soul. Being a fetus, there were only two people who had great karma with him: his father and mother. His mother was naturally this white-robed girl who was currently pregnant with him. The other was the black-robed male who was currently fighting with the enemy not too far away. Child, Even though you are in my stomach, you are transcendent and should be able to perceive the outside world. The white-robed girl was currently rubbing her stomach. She was currently muttering with tears. Remember, your father is called Xiaoyu. He died for the sake of saving our lives. The white-robed girl turned to the distance. She hoped for a miracle, but she understood that the possibility of a miracle was very low. Her husband could not last long in front of old Devil Goldenhorn. His escaping speed could not compare to the other party, and he could only die. Xiaoyu? In his stomach. Donghua Shui heard his mother muttering from outside. Being a cosmos god who cultivated for 1 trillion years, reincarnating was merely an experience to him. It was impossible for him to have such deep feelings for his parents like he did in the Snorrock Castle in the past. But since they were related by blood, Donghua Shui treated these two differently. Being my birth parents, I have karma with me. I will naturally repay them well. Donghua Shui thought. Actually, after becoming a cosmos god, he did not care about karma, but he was not even willing to bully the weak. Hence, he could not ignore the huge karma of his birth parents. After all, if he did not reincarnate, the fetus in the stomach of this couple would naturally give birth to a new soul. Since he had replaced them, he naturally had to repay this favor. Father is a true god paragon, and mother is an ordinary true god realm expert. Donghua Shui easily probed their strength. That old devil Goldenhorn is a true god ruler? This old devil has many karmic sins on his body. Donghua Shui could feel the overwhelming resentment and hatred contained within those karmic sins. Wang, with a thought, with his mirage and illusory realm cosmos god strength, he could easily scour through the memories of this old devil Goldenhorn. Through this, he also found out the identity of his parents. Rip, sword light crisscrossed. Xiaoyu's eyes shone with a strong desire, his fighting spirit burning. The first time he checked the fetus in his wife's belly, Xiaoyu decided that he would use his life to protect this family, protect his wife and child. He and his wife lived a quiet and happy life in seclusion. However, old Devil Goldenhorn still chased after them. He had used up all his treasures and methods, but now he could only defend with his life. I really want to see him and hug him. Grow up well. My child, Xiaoyu's child. At this moment, Xiaoyu felt as though his soul was burning. He was willing to give up everything to protect his wife and son. This intense desire caused his soul to be unprecedentedly clear, and he even had a faint glimpse of the ruler realm. But stepping into the ruler realm ultimately wasn't that easy. Old Devil Goldenhorn was also anxious at this moment. He wasn't willing to see the treasure escape. Die for me. Old Devil Goldenhorn was abnormally anxious. Master, disciple knows that he has committed a grave mistake, but Qin and my child is innocent. Disciple cannot defeat old Devil Goldenhorn and will most likely die in his hands. Disciple only hopes that Master can save my wife and child on account of our past relationship, and let them live. Master, I beg you. While Xiaoyu was fighting, he was also transmitting a message to his master for help. Xiao, old Devil Goldenhorn suddenly turned and fled. Xiaoyu, who originally wanted to tangle with old Devil Goldenhorn, chased after him. However, he was shocked to discover that the direction old Devil Goldenhorn fled and was the opposite direction of his wife's flying boat. Flee? Why would he flee? Xiaoyu was a little stunned. Old Devil Goldenhorn fled in terror. My master is here? That's not right. If master is here, he should have directly teleported. How could old Devil Goldenhorn discover him in advance? Xiaoyu was even more puzzled. After a breath of time, Xiaoyu stopped. He stood in midair in a daze as he watched old Devil Goldenhorn rapidly disappear into the horizon. After such a long time, his wife should have fled long ago. I survived? Xiaoyu felt dazed. Xiaoyu, who was already prepared to die, did not expect that the situation would have such a twist. Why did old Devil Goldenhorn flee in panic? Is there a mysterious expert helping me in the dark? Or is there some other reason? Forget it. At least I managed to preserve my life. Who? A figure appeared in midair in front of him. It was a yellow-robed old man. The yellow-robed old man looked at Xie Yu coldly. Master. When Xie Yu saw the old man in front of him, he instantly knelt down in midair. And on the other side, the body of old Devil Golden Horn, who was fleeing in panic, suddenly trembled. Pung! He was silently annihilated, leaving behind only some of his items that fell into the depths of the lake. Perhaps in the future, a fated person might discover them. At the very least, Dongbua Shuiying, who killed old Devil Golden Horn, didn't care about the items of a true god ruler. In his Mirage universe, he could turn items into reality. Any item he casually created would be much more valuable than a true god ruler's item. Within the stomach of the white-robed woman, Shui Qin. Dongbua Shuiying didn't care about it. Killing old Devil Golden Horn was just a thought away. In this life, Father's master is here. Dongbua Shuiying didn't care. He started to silently absorb the heaven and earth energy to transform his mother's body and nourish his own body. At the same time, he wanted to speed up his birth. Master. The black-robed man Xie Yu and the white-robed woman Shui Qin stood side by side in midair, looking at the yellow-robed old man. The yellow-robed old man, Elder Fu Yun, looked coldly at the couple in front of him. He said coldly, "Originally, I thought that you deserved to die outside. However, you are right. Your child is innocent. That is why I came to save you." His words were cold. In reality, Elder Fu Yun was infuriated when his beloved disciple violated the sect's rules. He wanted to save him, but he was also anxious. Xie Yu's earlier plea for help let Elder Fu Yun know that his disciple's life was hanging by a thread. Before his disciple died, he begged for help to save his child. This gave Elder Fu Yun an excuse that he wasn't trying to save his disciple, but his child. In reality, how could Elder Fu Yun forget about their relationship as master and disciple after so many years? Elder, the white-robed woman Shui Qin hurriedly said, "Everything is the fault of us husband and wife. Elder, please do not implicate our child." Disciple of Sky Mirror Pavilion. Elder Fu Yun coldly snorted. Sky Mirror Pavilion and Black Sky Sect. The hatred between these two great sects was too deep. The founders of the two sects were their mortal enemies. Over the years, they had been fighting and killing each other, causing the hatred between them to be as deep as the mountains and as vast as the seas. For example, Elder Fu Yun's Tao companion had died under the hands of an expert of Sky Mirror Pavilion. This was merely the tip of the iceberg of the hatred between the two sections. Xie Yu and Shui Qin had actually become husband and wife. In either of the two great sects, this was a huge crime. Hence, the two of them had simply hidden outside. However, when facing the threat of old Devil Golden Horn, they ultimately had to rely on the sect for protection. Let's go. Let's return. Elder Fu Yun brought the two of them and directly teleported back to the Black Sky Sect. Black Sky Sect. The founder of the sect was a Unity Realm expert, Ancestor Black Sky. He was ranked in the top 20 in the Bright Star world, and the sect laws were strict. Naturally, merely becoming husband and wife with a disciple of an enemy sect might be a huge crime, but it was not considered a death crime. Only those who betrayed the sect would be directly sentenced to death. Xie Yu, Shui Qin, stay on the Black Fiend Peak forever. The punishment from the Black Sky sect was finally announced. Xie Yu and Shui Qin were sent to the Black Fiend Peak together with other disciples who were being punished. They helped the sect refine treasures and weapons. Stay on the Black Fiend Peak forever meant that they could practically never leave. There was only one exception: breaking through in their combat power and becoming a void god. They would directly become an elder, and their status would naturally be different. There was no need for them to be trapped here forever. The two of us will stay on the Black Fiend Peak forever, but we did not say that our child will be staying here forever. We'll teach our child well, and when his foundation is solid, we'll let our child join the Black Sky sect. Xie Yu and Shui Qin were both filled with joy. They had a small courtyard within the Black Fiend Peak. Even though the task was heavy, Xie Yu could do it with all his might. The two of them were looking forward to it. In the third month that they stayed on the Black Fiend Peak, his wife Cui Qing gave birth to a boy. He was a transcendent at birth. At this moment, the entire Black Sky sect did not understand what this boy who was born in the remote Black Fiend Peak of the Black Sky sect meant to the Black Sky sect. Chapter 11-12. Black Fiend Peak, inside a house in a small courtyard. A chubby white-robed toddler looked to his side, and a small amount of power of the world immediately gathered to form another toddler. I'll let this incarnation stay here for now. Swoosh! The white-clothed child vanished into thin air. In a chaotic void far away from the bright star boundary, the white-robed toddler appeared out of thin air. Then, the white-robed toddler's appearance rapidly changed into that of the white-robed young man, Dongbua Shuang. Time to quickly improve my fleshly body. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. It was not convenient for him to wantonly absorb the world energy in the bright star planet. Hence, he merely used the Tao of Mirage as the fundamental structure of his soul, raising it to the cosmos god level. The advancement of the soul absorbed the most fundamental energy of the source world. On the contrary, the power of heaven and earth was silent and unmoving. Now, it was naturally easy to create an incarnation. Boom! As Dongbua Shuang activated it, a large amount of heaven and earth energy surged into Dongbua Shuang's body from the cold and lonely void, forming a terrifying whirlpool. His physical strength was soaring. Transcendent, deity, world deity, true God, void God, unity realm, primal chaos realm, cosmos God. The speed of this transformation was extremely fast. Within his body, the deity C continuously evolved, evolving into the world, evolving into the Mirage origin, then into a chaotic miniature universe, and finally into the Mirage universe. He had reached the realm. As long as he absorbed enough energy, his strength would naturally recover quickly. Finally recovered. Dongbua Shuang felt his strength. He revealed a grin. Compared to the realm heart great land, I don't have any secret treasures. I can't even cultivate the Southern Cloud's sacred body anymore. Ultimately, the Southern Cloud's sacred body required too much external materials. It absorbed all sorts of precious treasures and fused them into his body. But the problem was that the vast majority of precious treasures produced in the realm heart great land could not be found in the primal chaos void. After all, there were two different source worlds with different supreme laws. Hence, there was a huge difference in the creatures that were born from them. Even cultivation could only be used after reaching the cosmos god realm. But I can cultivate the stronger, chaotic origin Tao scroll. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. This time, he brought along two terrifying cultivation techniques, chaotic origin Tao scroll and heart realm. It's just that the first level of chaotic origin Tao scroll had a high requirement. Firstly, one had to reach the pinnacle of voidification. Secondly, one had to break through the cage of the origin world and absorb the chaotic origin energy for one's own use. Finally, there was the requirement of one's realm. One had to push 8 branches of the Tao of Void to the cosmos god realm. Its requirements were obviously much higher than the 5 phases sealing technique. The time flow in the realm heart great land and the primal chaos void is similar. Dongbua Shuang thought. At the same time, when his soul recovered to the cosmos god level, he could easily communicate with his avatar over at the realm heart great land. Their memories were linked. It seems like a long time has passed since I was sent back to the primal chaos void from the realm heart great land. In reality, it has only been 120,000 years. Dongbua Shuang thought. 120,000 years. Over at the realm heart great land, Shuang had already pushed all 9 branches of the Tao of Void to the cosmos god realm. Primarily after creating the 9 rotation undying technique, Shuang had comprehended the profound mysteries of how the 9 branches could complement each other. By fusing them together, Shuang was able to break through smoothly. After becoming a cosmos god for 30,000 years, Shuang had completed all 9 branches of the Tao of Void. And now, he could execute the 5 phases sealing technique. Of course, it was merely small success. Ying could not rely on the 5-phase beads. He could also execute the combat technique of the chaotic origin Dao scroll. But the chaotic origin refinement body required time to cultivate. Given how much chaotic origin energy he could absorb from that tiny hole in the origin world, it would take an extremely long time for him to succeed in refining his body. I should first refine an avatar. That's right. Dongbua Shui connected his memories with the avatar in the Realm Heart Great Land. He discovered something that gave him a pleasant surprise. When he was sent out of the Realm Heart Great Land, the remaining 8 avatars could actually refine a 9th avatar. That's right. Some world deities and true gods in the cosmos could refine avatars. But after leaving the cosmos, they could no longer do so. Dongbua Shui thought, and some cultivators with unique talents in the ancient cultivation system could refine avatars. Clearly, as long as they are permitted by the supreme law, they could refine avatars. The avatar technique created by his teacher, Southern Cloud King, absorbed the chaotic origin energy to transform his soul. After absorbing the chaotic origin energy from a higher dimension, he could maintain 9 avatars even under the suppression of the supreme law. And now, he sent an avatar out. In that origin world in the Realm Heart Great Land, within the region covered by the supreme law, Dongbua Shui only had 8 avatars. Moreover, the supreme laws allowed for 9 clones. Naturally, he managed to cultivate another clone. Similarly, this avatar of mine has returned to my hometown. Under the supreme law of the primal chaos void, I only have 1 body. I can continue refining avatars. Dongbua Shui thought. Shui immediately punched out. This fist technique was more exquisite than the arch destruction. It was a combat technique from the chaotic origin Dao scroll. This fist caused 8 spatial strands to intersect with each other. At the center where the spatial strands intersected, an extremely tiny black spot was formed. It was about the size of a grain of rice, and a mysterious aura was emitting from it. And at the other end of this black hole was the higher dimension that contained a huge terror. This mysterious aura was also the chaotic origin energy. It's here. Dongbua Shui executed the avatar technique to absorb this chaotic origin energy. After a moment, white-robed Dongbua Shui and golden-robed Dongbua Shui stood in the vast void. It's a pity that I can only create 2 avatars. Dongbua Shui shook his head inwardly. The cage I broke through is still too small. The density of the mysterious aura I could absorb isn't high enough. I have merely grasped the first level of the avatar technique. At the first level of the avatar technique, one could create 2 avatars. At the second level, one could create 9 avatars. At the highest grand perfection realm of the avatar technique, one could create 10,081 avatars. The cultivation technique created by Southern Cloud King primarily depended on the degree of the soul's transformation after absorbing the chaotic origin energy. At the pinnacle of the transformation, one could maintain more than 10,000 avatars. The avatar technique created by teacher Southern Cloud King isn't as outstanding as the one created by Mount Chai and Myriad Realm Tavern Master. Dongbua Shui sighed inwardly. The requirement for his teacher's avatar technique was very high. He had to break through the cage before he could grasp the technique. And breaking through the cage of the origin world was equivalent to the 10th level strength, the strength of a cosmos god. That meant that Mount Chai definitely did not have one. But Scarlet-Browed Mountain Master already had 2 avatars. As for Myriad Realm Tavern Master had once assassinated Shui. He was merely an ordinary cosmos god, yet he could maintain more than 10,000 avatars. According to the cultivation technique of Southern Cloud King, he had to be a level 2 cosmos god before he could create more than 10,000 avatars. And judging from the effect of cultivation, the lineage of Mount Chai and Myriad Realm Tavern Master was much more outstanding than the one created by Southern Cloud King in terms of avatar technique. Currently, Ying was a level 1 cosmos god. Furthermore, he had pushed all 9 branches of the Tao of Void to the cosmos god realm. If he were from the lineage of Myriad Realm Tavern Master, he would have more than 10,000 avatars. I wonder who created the lineage of Mount Chime and Myriad Realm Tavern Master. Dongbua Shuang thought. In the past, he suspected that it was created by Myriad Realm Tavern Master. But now, Shuang did not think so. Such a heaven-defying cultivation technique should have been created by a level 3 cosmos god in the Tao of Void, an existence on the level of Ancestor Fan. Mount Chime. Dongbua Shuang felt killing intent in his heart. It was fine if this lineage assassinated him, but they even borrowed the power of Sacred Master to deal against him. At this moment, Dongbua Shuang did not know that Mount Chime had already been killed by Old Monster Stone. Sacred Master couldn't find the avatar of Mount Chime in the past, and it is likely that he can't find my avatar either. Furthermore, the moment I cultivate the chaotic origin refinement body, my body will possess some chaotic origin characteristics. It is impossible for him to find me. Dongbua Shuang thought. After his soul transformed after absorbing the chaotic origin energy, most tracking techniques were useless to him. Furthermore, he had the even more heaven-defying chaotic origin Tao scroll. The chaotic origin refinement body wasted too much time. Dongbua Shuang was temporarily out of patience. This avatar should remain at the bright star planet to cultivate. Dongbua Shuang turned to the golden-robed Dongbua Shuang by the side. Even if my true body dies in battle, this avatar can rapidly cultivate back. I can also repay the kindness of my parents who reincarnated into this body. South, the golden-robed Dongbua Shuang rapidly disappeared back to the bright star planet. It is time for me to go back and have a look. Dongbua Shuang took a step before disappearing from the vicinity. Within a piece of primal chaos void, Dongbua Shuang appeared from nothingness. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Even with his heart realm, he could hardly suppress his nervousness. He was finally back. That time, he was forced to reincarnate into the Realm Heart Great Land. And now, he finally returned. Amen? Dongbua Shuang stared in front of him in a daze. Currently, he had reached the pinnacle in all 9 branches of the Tao of Void. Executing the chaotic origin combat technique, he could teleport much further. A single teleportation could traverse more than half the primal chaos void. It was absolutely impossible for him to be wrong. 7-star Oceanic Sacred World was also impossible for him to go to the wrong place. After all, it was a huge sacred world. Where's the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World? Why is it gone? Dongbua Shuang looked at the empty primal chaos void in front of him. He could not help but feel a chill in his heart. This void in front of him, the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, was originally here. But now it was empty. Chapter 11:13. Dongbua Shuang stood amidst the vast primal chaos void. He felt cold in his heart, and his expression turned pale. All sorts of thoughts appeared. Worry, uneasiness, terror, no. Dongbua Shuang looked around him. How could one of the 5 great sacred worlds, the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, disappear just like that? Or is it because my teleportation is too far off? Relying on the void, his consciousness abruptly spread out in all directions. It was vast and boundless. The surrounding cosmos and land were all enveloped by his consciousness. Having chased after the destruction devils for 1 trillion years, Shuang was too familiar with the situation in the primal chaos void. Just like when he reincarnated into the Bright Star World, his consciousness enveloped the entire Bright Star World, allowing him to know that he was in the Bright Star World, because he had investigated it in the past. Similarly, he was very familiar with the surroundings of the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World. That's right. The surrounding cosmos should be the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World. But why is it gone? Dongbua Shuang could not conceal his anxiety, even though he was a cosmos god, because the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World involved too many people he cared about. His wife and children Many good friends that left the cosmos in the past, and those from the same sect in the Great Void Heaven Temple. It has only been close to 10 billion years. What exactly happened? Dongbua Shui Ying suppressed the uneasiness in his heart. So, he disappeared from the place soundlessly. Who? When he appeared again, he was already in the vast void outside the original 5 great sacred worlds. Eastern Unicorn Sacred World. It's here. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the distant vast sacred world. He let out a sigh of relief inwardly. The Eastern Unicorn Sacred World was still fine. According to logic, he had spent close to 10 billion years in the Realm Heart Great Land. This bit of time was not considered long to powerful cultivators. According to logic, the primal chaos void should not have changed too much. But the disappearance of the 7-star oceanic sacred world made Dongbua Shui Ying feel slightly terrified. He was even afraid that the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World would disappear. The Eastern Unicorn Sacred World has a deeper foundation. There's the Blade Emperor, Void Primogenitor, and the others here. There's also that mysterious and unfathomable Lord Lo Cheng. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. Lord Lo Cheng was clearly at the primal chaos realm. However, the strength he displayed was enough to suppress the Void Primogenitor's level. In Dongbua Shui Ying's opinion, even if Ancestor Fan and the others were to use the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique to come here, they would be suppressed to the primal chaos realm. They would not be that strong. For Lord Lo Cheng to be this powerful, it simply did not make sense. Lord Lo Cheng is an outsider? Dongbua Shui Ying thought. The one who came here is just a clone of his? A mere avatar was already this strong under the suppression of the supreme law. The true body strength would most likely be even more terrifying, above Ancestor Fan and the others. If he could reveal his full strength, he would probably be able to deal with the Holy Master directly. It's a pity that he is an outsider. He could barely exert the strength of a level 2 cosmos god at the primal chaos realm. He is weaker than Blade Emperor and Wu Zhu. Taking a step, Dongbua Shui Ying entered the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World. He casually chose a huge city to descend in. The city remained bustling with activity. There were many cultivators. In the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, there was a 7-star Oceanic Pavilion that specialized in trading. In the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World, there was a similar Eastern Unicorn Palace Hall that specialized in all sorts of transactions. Eastern Unicorn Palace Hall. Dongbua Shui Ying arrived at the Eastern Unicorn Palace Hall branch of this huge city. He looked up at the towering structure in front of him. "This great sir, welcome to the Eastern Unicorn Palace Hall. My Eastern Unicorn Palace Hall has everything." A beautiful, true god female attendant welcomed him. Because Dongbua Shui Ying could easily conceal his aura using the 9-rotation undying technique. He even deliberately released some cold, killing intent and wore a silver mask on his face. He pretended to release an aura at the Unity Realm. If a mysterious cosmos god came, much less this Eastern Unicorn Palace Hall master, it would most likely alarm Blade Emperor and the others. Very soon, he was led to an elegant hall. Delicacies and wine were served, and the female attendant was accompanying him by the side. A Unity Realm expert was considered a great expert in a huge city. "I have been in closed-door cultivation for several tens of billions of years," Dongbua Shui Ying said. "This time, I heard that the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World has disappeared." "Yes, that was a huge battle." The female attendant chuckled. "Huge battle?" Dongbua Shui Ying felt puzzled. "I heard that it was related to Sacred Master. I'm not too clear about the details," the female attendant said. She would not reveal too much. Ordinary information was spread across the world, and she could say anything that was slightly precious. If one wanted to know about it, he would have to buy it. Dongbua Shui Ying felt a lump in his heart. Sacred Master? This was within his expectations. For a sacred world to disappear just like that, Forefather Tianyu and the others would not be so bored as to destroy the sacred world. Only Sacred Master would dare to do so. I want to know the detailed information about the disappearance of the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, as well as what happened in the recent tens of billions of years. Dongbua Shuang said. How detailed do you want? The female attendant asked. The more detailed, the better. Dongbua Shuang said. The female attendant nodded slightly. She muttered to herself for a moment. Naturally, she was contacting her superiors in secret. This information involves a lot of things, and it requires an origin world stone. The female attendant said, I have some 3-colored golden thread stones. Dongbua Shuang waved his hand, and translucent stones that were suffused with 3 colors appeared. There were even golden threads swimming within the stones. There was a total of 18 stones. It should be equivalent to an origin world stone, right? These were directly nurtured by Dongbua Shuang within his mirage cosmos. The items that he nurtured had to be something that he had a thorough understanding of. For example, powerful secret treasures like the 5-phase beads or mysterious precious materials. If he did not have a thorough understanding of them, he would not be able to create them out of thin air. With his current realm, most of the weaker precious materials could be researched thoroughly and created out of thin air. It was just that he had to consume more energy. Hence, if he was willing, being the only cosmos god in the primal chaos void who grasped hold of the mirage cosmos, he would absolutely be ranked in the top few in terms of wealth. It's just that truly precious secret treasures and mysterious materials could not be exchanged for using ordinary precious materials. Sure, the female attendant nodded. Very soon, a set of information was sent to Dongbua Shuang. Receiving a violet scroll from the female attendant, Dongbua Shuang opened it. After checking through it, words appeared on the violet scroll, and a large amount of information surged into the consciousness of Dongbua Shuang. Sacred Master captured the Mirage Palace Master of the Great Void Heaven Temple, Dongbua Shuang, and Dongbua Shuang died in the ancient sacred world. 30 million years after Dongbua Shuang died, Sacred Master stealthily snuck into the Great Void Heaven Temple and ambushed him. A great war broke out abruptly. Wu Zhu, Jie Zhu, and others participated in the war. In this war, Sacred Master seemed to have gone mad. In the end, he caused the entire 7-star oceanic sacred world to shatter. The Great Void Heaven Temple, Primogenitor Island, and Jade Light Sacred Territory only had time to evacuate some civilians from some of the bigger cities. Almost all the civilians in the other vast regions of the sacred world were wiped out in the war that led to the shattering of the sacred world. Dongbua Shuang's expression turned ashen. Almost all the living beings in the sacred world were wiped out. The information recorded in detail. It even recorded that when Sacred Master ambushed the Great Void Heaven Temple, he had even captured a portion of the disciples of the Great Void Heaven Temple. Strange. Why did Sacred Master specially ambush the Great Void Heaven Temple? Furthermore, given his temperament, why didn't he kill them directly? Instead, he captured a portion of the disciples of the Great Void Heaven Temple. Dongbua Shuang frowned inwardly. Clearly, this war that led to the destruction of the 7-star oceanic sacred world had little to do with the Primogenitor Island and Jade Light Sacred Territory. Both the Primogenitor Island and Jade Light Sacred Territory were merely caught in the crossfire. Ambushing the Great Void Heaven Temple is related to Sword Master? Or is it related to me? Dongbua Shuang thought. That time when Sword Master broke through, he had provoked Sacred Master to kill his way over. Sacred Master went mad? He destroyed the entire 7-star oceanic sacred world? Dongbua Shuang was a cosmos god too. He was clear that it was easy to damage a sacred world. It was hard for him to destroy the entire sacred world under the hindrance of Wu Zhu, Jie Zhu, and others. But Sacred Master still did it. He was most likely infuriated. Also, Jing Xiao Yuer, Qing Yao, and many others from the Great Void Heaven Temple. Dongbua Shuang wanted to understand the situation of his wife and children. He wanted to understand the situation of many people he cared about. But these were not suitable for him to buy information. He temporarily did not think of revealing his identity. After all, he had reincarnated once after returning from the Realm Heart Great Land. Even though he used the earliest true spirit as his foundation, there were still some differences in the aura of his soul. Furthermore, he could perfectly conceal his aura after executing the 9-rotation undying technique. Even Sacred Master felt that he, Dongbua Shuiying, had died. Since that was the case, he naturally had to hide his identity. The enemy was in the light, and he was in the dark. That would be more effective. Naturally, there were some people who were worth trusting. For instance, Forefather Tianyu, or Void Primogenitor. It's just that his soul had dissipated in the past. A strand of his true spirit had reincarnated into the Realm Heart Great Land. Furthermore, it was related to the Realm Heart Order and reincarnating. It was not easy for Void Primogenitor and other cosmos gods to believe that he was Dongbua Shuiying. I'll temporarily remain in the dark. My current strength isn't strong enough. I haven't even grasped the first level of the Chaotic Origin Dao Scroll. I should first investigate the situation of Chu Jingxiu and the others. I hope that they are fine. According to the intelligence, the majority of the people from the Great Void Heaven Temple had been moved to the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World by Sword Master and Forefather Tianyu. He hoped that his wife and children were within. Following that, Dongbua Shuiying stealthily left this branch hall of the Eastern Unicorn Hall. Chapter 11:14. After moving to the Great Void Heaven Temple in the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World, the Great Void Heaven Temple was still as dazzling as before. Its radiance illuminated the entire space. Inside the Celestial Water Temple on the huge floating continent. How laughable. We are a holy land. It's fine if we lose our experts, but we can't even protect Brother Dongbo's wife. It's a shame, a shame. The blue-robed Celestial Water Temple Master sat alone in the courtyard, drinking wine. His face was filled with pain and resentment. There were maids watching from outside, but they didn't dare to approach. Ever since the Great Void Heaven Temple had gone through a huge change, the Celestial Water Temple Master had become very dispirited. Even his disciples didn't dare to come and persuade him. Struggle? How else can you struggle? Celestial Water Hall Master muttered. Those disciples still had fighting spirit, yet the more they knew, the more despair they felt. Celestial Water Hall Master had long lost all confidence. Against the Sacred Master, all cosmos gods on our side can only remain on the defensive. They couldn't threaten him at all. Sacred Master is inside, and the Destruction Devils are outside. Furthermore, the primal chaos void is expanding continuously. Ultimately, there will be a great apocalypse. Haha, that's good too. Brother Dongbo, Brother Leading Wing, the two of you should leave first. Very soon, the rest of us will arrive. The Celestial Water Temple Master felt pained and guilty. As for Dongbua Shuiying, the Celestial Water Hall Master had watched him grow up step by step. Dongbua Shuiying was stationed in Primal Chaos City, so he went to Celestial Water City. He was overflowing with talent, breathtaking and dazzling. Dongbua Shuiying had cultivated for a short period, yet he spent 1,000,000,000 years chasing after the Destruction Devils and even found several golden-armored, graded layers of the Destruction Devils. He had contributed so much that even cosmos gods were speechless. In the end, even if he was captured alive by the Sacred Leader, he would rather die than tell the Sacred Leader about the destructive realm teleportation technique. Such a great contributor, such a genius, had fallen so early. But in the end, the Great Void Heaven Temple couldn't even protect his wife. Holy Master, the Celestial Water Temple Master murmured. The undisputed #1 expert of the Primal Chaos Void actually did such a shameless thing. The difference in strength is too great. Our side can't threaten him at all. The Celestial Water Temple Master laid on the table. The wine didn't intoxicate him, but he was intoxicated. Gradually, he felt his consciousness sinking in an instant. Not good. The Celestial Water Temple Master instantly realized that something was wrong. Then, his consciousness completely sank. He lowered his head and laid on the table, falling into a deep sleep. Seeing this, the maidservants outside the courtyard did not realize that the Celestial Water Temple Master had been hit. The Eastern Unicorn sacred world also had many remote and desolate lands. Right now, a large region had been carved out for the Great Void Heaven Temple to manage. They had also constructed 8 primal chaos cities, and one of them was the Celestial Water City. Kinshue City, City Lord Mansion. The Celestial Water Temple Master's incarnation, who was sleeping in the underground chamber, suddenly stood up and left the City Lord's mansion. Then, he teleported to a restaurant. In a private room of the restaurant, the incarnation of the Celestial Water Temple Lord pushed the door open and entered. A white-robed youth wearing a silver mask was sitting in the room. Brother Celestial Water. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the incarnation of Celestial Water Hall Master and waved his hand. Hua, 5 phases seal. This private room was completely isolated from the outside world. It was impossible to find this private room from the outside. The eyes of the incarnation of the Celestial Water Hall Master were calm. In reality, he was being controlled by Dongbua Shui. Even teleportation was done by Dongbua Shui in controlling the void to bring him over. His true body should have sunk in too. Forefather Tian Yu and the others might have discovered it. Dongbua Shui thought, it's nothing much. They can't find this place and won't disturb me. As for the matter after, it doesn't matter even if Forefather Tian Yu finds out. There were not many cosmos gods he trusted, but Forefather Tian Yu was one of them. Wong. Dongbua Shui looked at the incarnation of Celestial Water Hall Master and said, "This time, I hope for your forgiveness." The incarnation of Celestial Water Hall Master sat down. "You hate Sacred Master?" Dongbua Shui said. Celestial Water Hall Master was ultimately an 8th level expert. Furthermore, he cultivated the law's lineage, and his soul and willpower were extraordinary. Dongbua Shui did not have any secret treasures. It was purely because he had reached the Cosmos God realm in the Mirage and Illusory realm that he could easily control Celestial Water Hall Master. But he could not flip through the memories of Celestial Water Hall Master. He could only guide the other party to reveal many secrets. Furthermore, the moment Shui stopped using the secret technique and left, Celestial Water Hall Master would know that he had fallen into a trap when he woke up. "Hey, I can't wait for him to die." Celestial Water Hall Master had a savage expression. He seemed to have seen an infuriating scene. He gritted his teeth. Dongbua Shui determined that Celestial Water Hall Master was not a traitor according to the illusory realm he was casting. That time when Sacred Master ambushed the Great Void Heaven Temple, how much damage did the Great Void Heaven Temple suffer? This was what Dongbua Shui was concerned about. At the same time, he began guiding the inner heart of Celestial Water Hall Master while he was immersed in the illusory realm, causing the entire Mirage and illusory realm to gradually show the scene of that battle. It was too sudden. That time, Sacred Master captured a group of disciples from the Great Void Heaven Temple alive. There were 4 Hall Masters among them. Celestial Water Hall Master said. Dongbua Shuiying's expression changed when he heard that. Capturing 4 Hall Masters alive, excluding himself, the Great Void Heaven Temple had a total of 12 Hall Masters. Are these 4 Hall Masters still alive? Dongbua Shuiying asked. That time, Sacred Master forced Forefather and the others to hand over the so-called destructive realm teleportation technique. Forefather and Sword Master refused to hand it over. Celestial Water Hall Master said. Sacred Master then killed all the disciples he captured. Of the 4 Hall Masters, Leading Wing Hall Master and Ancestor Devil were both killed. Dongbua Shuiying felt his heart twitching. Brother Leading Wing? Ancestor Devil? Among the other 12 Hall Masters, Primal Chaos Hall Master was the leader. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master and the other Hall Masters were all familiar to him. Ancestor Devil came from the same cosmos as him. Their relationship was even more special. Dead? Dead just like that? What else? What about the Great Void Heaven Temple's losses? Dongbua Shuiying asked. During that battle, other than killing many of the captured disciples, about 30% of the Great Void Heaven Temple's core disciples died. Celestial Water Hall Master gritted his teeth and said, Sacred Master did it on purpose to implicate our great void heaven temple's disciples. Although Forefather and Sword Master tried their best to protect them, many still died. What angered me the most was that for the so-called destructive realm teleportation technique, he even captured Brother Donghwa's wife, Jing Xiu, alive. Donghwa Shui Ying's face turned pale. What he was most afraid of had happened. What about Donghwa Yu and Donghwa Qingyao? And what about Donghwa Shui Ying's other disciples? Donghwa Shui Ying asked. Brother Donghwa contributed greatly to our side. After his death, Sword Master accepted Donghwa Qingyao as his disciple. Wuzu also accepted Donghwa Yu as his disciple. Thus, Brother Donghwa's son and daughter are still fine. His disciple Xinghua's son, he did not die in that battle. Originally, Jade Light Master wanted to accept Jing Xiu as her disciple, but Jing Xiu was unwilling. She stayed in Brother Donghwa's cave dwelling and was unwilling to go anywhere else. At that time, the first person Sacred Master captured alive was Jing Xiu. Celestial Water Hall Master said, unwilling to go anywhere else, Donghwa Shuang panicked. Others did not know. He knew. He promised that he would return in the future. He had the realm heart order and would return to find his wife. Thus, Jing Xiu had been waiting there for him. How is Jing Xiu now? Donghwa Shuang asked. Sacred Master captured a group of disciples. Only she, Wan Xiang, and the other 2 Hall Masters are still alive. Celestial Water Hall Master said, Sacred Master imprisoned them in the ancient sacred world and tortured them to force our great void heaven temple to hand over the destructive realm teleportation technique. Our great void heaven temple has yet to hand it over, and they are still suffering. Fortunately, Brother Donghwa did not tell his wife about the destructive realm teleportation technique. Otherwise, his wife and Brother Wan Xiang would have died. Donghwa Shui Ying felt pain and anger in his heart. Destructive realm teleportation technique. Sacred Master wanted it so badly. Other than acting against him, he even acted against the entire Great Void Heaven Temple. Jing Xiu and the rest are still suffering. Donghwa Shui Ying understood that Forefather Tian Yu and the rest would rather die than to let Sacred Master have it easy. After all, everyone was worried about one thing. If Sacred Master relied on the destructive realm teleportation technique to deduce an avatar technique, the situation would worsen. After asking a few more questions and using the mirage and illusory realm, Shui Ying understood the situation clearly. Brother Celestial Water, sorry for offending you this time. Donghwa Shui Ying looked at the Celestial Water Hall Master incarnation sitting in front of him. He gently removed the mask on his face, revealing his true appearance. I am Donghwa Shui Ying. Don't reveal my identity for now, but you can tell Forefather Tian Yu. He will understand once you tell him. Finishing, Donghwa Shui Ying kept the 5 phases sealing technique before disappearing into thin air. Celestial Water Hall Master's incarnation's body shook before regaining consciousness. I fell into an illusion. Celestial Water Hall Master's incarnation was so frightened that his face turned pale. Following which, everything that he had experienced in the illusion, including the appearance of the white-robed youth that he saw with his naked eyes, stunned Celestial Water Hall Master. Brother Donghwa? How is he still alive? Celestial Water Hall Master was slightly stunned. Chapter 11:15. South, Donghwa Shui Ying immediately left the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World. He arrived in the vast primal chaos void. At this moment, the baleful aura on his body became denser. He could not suppress the anger and anxiety in his heart. He was already mentally prepared for the death of a large number of cultivators in the war with Sacred Master. After all, the primitive ancient sacred world in the past and the subsequent large-scale wars had resulted in heavy casualties, and all of them were caused by Sacred Master. His ancient sacred religion had made many cultivators loyal to him from the depths of their souls. With a single order from him, the believers of the ancient sacred religion would not even care about their lives. For his own sake, he could destroy the entire primitive ancient sacred world and slaughter an entire sacred world. He did not care, even if more lives were to die. He is truly selfish to the extreme. Dongbua Shui Ying understood that Sacred Master would not hesitate to sacrifice all lives in the primal chaos void for the sake of his Tao path. Right now, he wants the destructive realm teleportation technique. Thus, he did not kill Jing Xiu and the others. Clearly, he still has hope. If I want to save them, I only have a single chance. Dongbua Shui Ying was clear how difficult it was to save them. That was the ancient sacred world. With the ancient sacred incarnation protecting it, nobody dared to fight with Sacred Master. Dongbua Shui Ying did not know that Old Monster Stone and Sacred Master were fighting. The true body of Sacred Master was there too. Sacred Master did not know of Shui Ying's methods, and there was still hope of success. The moment Sacred Master knew of Shui Ying's methods, he would be on guard, and the possibility of saving them would be low. I have to succeed. I have to find out where Jing Xiu is. Dongbua Shui Ying thought, saying it was slow. Reaching the level of Dongbua Shui Ying, his mind was able to think very quickly. In the blink of an eye, he had come up with a detailed plan. He left the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World. With a step, he arrived at the distant Nine-Cloud Great Land. The Nine-Cloud Great Land was the largest fragment other than the ancient sacred world after the primitive ancient sacred world shattered. There were many sentient beings living here, and there was even a cosmos god, Junyi Fazu, living here in seclusion. It was also an important place for the ancient sacred religion and ancestor mother religion to spread their religion. The ancient sacred religion had arranged for primal chaos experts to preside over this place. Nine-Cloud Great Land. Dongbua Shui Ying stood in the middle of the chaotic void, looking down at the boundless land below. He had come to the Nine-Cloud Great Land in the past and was clear of the general layout of the superpowers there. He also knew where Junyi Fazu lived in seclusion. Buzz. Invisible spatial ripples instantly covered the territory of the ancient saint cult. Junyi Fazu is indeed not here. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded slightly. With the help of the void essence, Junyi Fazu would not be able to detect it. Dongbua Shui Ying did not dare to unleash his mirage and illusory realm directly, lest he accidentally affected Junyi Fazu. His mirage and illusory realm was still unable to make Junyi Fazu fall into oblivion. It was very easy to expose his existence. Junyi Fazu would not participate in the war. He would not help the factions of Wu Zhu, Jie Zhu, Blade Emperor, and Sword Master. He would also not help the factions of the two great religions. Dongbua Shui Ying did not trust Junyi Fazu. The ancient sacred religion merely sent a primal chaos expert here, Saint Song Fu. He should be from the ancient cultivation lineage, and he should have avatars. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately recognized the other party. After all, he had been in the Realm Heart Great Land for close to 10 billion years. The experts in the entire primal chaos void did not have any huge changes. Saint Song Fu was not too strong. He was only at the 8th level, but his ancient cultivation talent allowed him to have an avatar technique, 7 great avatars. It was useless to be envious of this kind of avatar technique that relied on his ancient cultivation talent. Sacred Master attacked the Great Void Heaven Temple and even destroyed the entire 7-star Oceanic Sacred World. I believe both parties are currently fighting fiercely. There are many sentient beings on the Nine-Cloud Great Land, and it is important for us to spread our religion here. We can't give it up. Hence, we send someone with avatars. Even if he is assassinated, he can still send another avatar over. Dongbua Shui Ying sneered. Most cosmos gods would have a headache dealing with primal chaos experts who had avatars, because the other party could refine more avatars after killing them. That time, Mount Chimay could not even kill Sacred Master. It's a pity that he met me. The eyes of Dongbua Shui Ying were filled with coldness. Before he went to the Realm Heart Great Land, he was the #1 expert in the Mirage and Illusory realm in the entire primal chaos void. But at that time, There were some primal chaos experts with formidable soul and willpower that he could not deal with. But now, he had become a cosmos god. The power of this technique was entirely different. Most likely, only 2 or 3 ninth-level experts could withstand it. The others would be finished, much less those at the 8th and 7th level. Within a 9-cloud great land, by the lake, a black-robed, bald old man sat cross-legged. A dark aura pervaded the surroundings. He was none other than the manager of the ancient sacred religion in the 9-cloud great land, Saint Song Fu. South, a figure flew over from afar. It was a gray-robed man. He landed and greeted respectfully. Saint, Amen? Saint Song Fu opened his eyes. Is it completed? No, not at all. We have done our best. The voice of that gray-robed man who descended was trembling slightly as he said, "The experts of the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World and Myriad Ancient Sacred World, ever since the destruction of the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, have been fighting with us in the 9-cloud Great Land in a frenzy. Their methods have become more ruthless." "All right, there's no need to explain." Saint Song Fu nonchalantly said, "Since you didn't complete it, it proves that you are useless. You can return to the ancient sacred world." "Yes." The gray-robed man's voice trembled. If he failed the mission, he would naturally be punished after returning to the ancient sacred world. After the gray-robed man left, Saint Song Fu frowned slightly. The Eastern Unicorn Sacred World and Myriad Ancient Sacred World have been forced into despair by Sacred Master, causing them to become even crazier. Saint Song Fu had been killed once previously. But in the blink of an eye, a new avatar had rushed over to continue presiding over the battle. They have no hope of fighting with Sacred Master. The edge of Saint Song Fu's lips curled upwards. He was filled with confidence towards the magnificent Sacred Master. Suddenly, the mirage and illusory realm descended. Saint Song Fu's body trembled slightly. His consciousness had already sunk into oblivion, but his body still managed to stand up. He arced through the sky and disappeared with a teleport. Saint, there were servants waiting by the lake. Seeing their master leave, they felt puzzled yet did not dare to ask. After all, what sort of status did saints have? Why would they need to explain to their subordinates when a saint left? In the void outside the 9-cloud great land, Saint Song Fu appeared in front of Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang waved his hand and executed the 5 phases sealing technique. Both he and Saint Song Fu vanished without a trace. He had to understand the ancient sacred world in the shortest time possible and find out where his wife and the others were imprisoned. On the other side, Eastern Unicorn Sacred World's Great Void Heaven Temple, in the courtyard of the Celestial Water Hall. The drunken Celestial Water Hall Master had already woken up. Brother Dongbua? How could it be him? How could he fake his death in front of Sacred Master? Furthermore, his incarnation back then had directly disintegrated. Celestial Water Hall Master was still in disbelief. To cultivators, changing one's appearance was a simple matter. He did not dare believe that the one who executed the illusory realm was Dongbua Shuang. But there aren't many in the entire primal chaos void who could execute such illusory realm techniques. If it was an impersonator, he shouldn't be so foolish as to impersonate the already dead Brother Dongbua, right? Even though he was puzzled. Celestial Water Hall Master immediately left to pay a visit to Forefather Tian Yu. Soon, Celestial Water Hall Master, why are you here? The hunchbacked old man, Forefather Tian Yu, looked at Celestial Water Hall Master and asked. Forefather Tian Yu was indeed exhausted, and he was feeling sorrowful. After all, the Great Void Heaven Temple had suffered heavy casualties. How could he, as the Palace Master, not feel heartache? Even the 2 Hall Masters in Jingxiu were being imprisoned, and he could not do anything about it. Even if the entire Great Void Heaven Temple is destroyed, the destructive realm teleportation technique must not be given to Sacred Master. Forefather Tian Yu felt that he had let down his disciples, and had let down Ying, who had died long ago. If I want to blame someone, I can only blame myself for being useless. Snow Eagle, You asked me to take care of your wife and children. But Sai, no matter how guilty he felt, no matter how heartache he felt, he had to endure it. The destructive realm teleportation technique must not be given to Sacred Master. This was an uncrossable bottom line. Forefather, the Celestial Water Temple Master hesitated for a moment before saying, I've encountered something that even I can't believe. Just now, I fell into an illusion and sank into it. Illusory realm? Forefather Tian Yu's expression changed. He did not harm me. Celestial Waterhall Master was also slightly puzzled. Moreover, the expert who cast the illusory realm took off his mask in front of me. His appearance was exactly the same as Brother Dongbua Shuang. He even said that he was Dongbua Shuang. Tell Forefather and you will understand. Forefather Tian Yu was stunned. Jing Xiu had long told Forefather Tian Yu about the Realm Heart Order and that Dongbua Shui Ying would return in the future. Snow Eagle is back. Forefather Tian Yu was both surprised and doubtful. Star. Chapter 11:16. Regarding the Realm Heart Order, Forefather Tian Yu had asked Blade Emperor before and knew that the Realm Heart Order was mysterious and extraordinary. Furthermore, Dongbua Shui Ying said that he would rely on the Realm Heart Order to return in the future. Could it be Snow Eagle? Forefather Tian Yu had thousands of thoughts in his mind. Celestial Waterhall Master, why did he cast an illusory realm on you? Forefather Tian Yu solemnly asked. Celestial Waterhall Master answered. He asked about the details of Sacred Master's attack on my Great Void Heaven Temple. He even asked about Jing Xiu, Dongbua Yu, and Dongbua Qingyao. Forefather Tian Yu's expression changed. He knows that Jing Xiu is imprisoned in the ancient sacred world. He knows. Celestial Waterhall Master felt helpless. I have already sunk into the illusory realm. Of course I will tell him everything. Not good. Forefather Tian Yu became anxious. What's wrong? Celestial Waterhall Master asked. Forefather, is this person really Brother Dongbua? Isn't his soul dissipating? And he can't fake his death in front of Sacred Master, right? Forefather Tian Yu's expression turned ugly as he asked. Did he tell you how to contact it? Celestial Waterhall Master shook his head. He didn't. You can withdraw first. Remember, don't tell anyone about this. Forefather Tian Yu said. Yes, that person also asked me not to publicize it. Celestial Waterhall Master hesitated before saying, Is it really Brother Dongbua? He is still alive? Forefather Tian Yu shook his head lightly. I am not certain. All right, you must not tell anyone about this. Celestial Waterhall Master nodded before leaving obediently. Forefather Tian Yu stood there solemnly. The number of people who knew that Dongbua Shui Ying had the Realm Heart Order and would return in the future could be counted with one's fingers. That person cast an illusory realm that could easily trap Celestial Waterhall Master. Furthermore, the information he inquired about Sacred Master's attack on the Great Void Heaven Temple. The possibility of this mysterious person being Dongbua Shui Ying was extremely high. There is at least a 70% chance that it is the Snow Eagle. The Celestial Water Temple Master thought to himself, if it's really the Snow Eagle, with the Snow Eagle's temperament, I'm afraid he won't be able to resist saving his wife. Forefather Tian Yu felt anxious. He is still too rash. Sacred Master has reached the final realm, and his strength transcends beyond any cosmos god. In the ancient saint world, his methods were even more unfathomable. If he were to barge in recklessly, how could he possibly save someone? He was afraid that even he would be sent to hell. What should I do? What should I do? I can't contact him now. There was at least a 70% chance that it was Dongbua Shui Ying. Forefather Tian Yu was not willing to watch Dongbua Shui Ying throw his life away. After fighting with the Sacred Master for so many years, he knew that the Sacred Master was unfathomable, because they had never forced the Holy Lord into a desperate situation. Even the crazed old monster stone was only able to exhaust the Sacred Master's ancient sage incarnation. The Sacred Master was completely unharmed in other aspects. Just a moment later, within the Great Void Heaven Temple, Forefather Tianyu, Sword Master, Blade Emperor, and Void Primogenitor were gathered here. Tianyu, why are you looking for us so urgently? Blade Emperor asked. Both he and Void Primogenitor had sent their incarnations over. That's right, Forefather. What's the matter? Sword Master asked too. Void Primogenitor turned to Forefather Tianyu too. Only then did Forefather Tianyu explain in detail. Just previously, it caused the expressions of the three cosmos gods present to change. They knew about the matter regarding the Realm Heart Order, and the three of them were absolutely trusted by Forefather Tianyu. Actually, the 6 great holy grounds were extremely united. Dongbua Shuiying is back? Blade Emperor frowned. He is back. Good, good. Void Primogenitor revealed a joyous look. Guqi and Dongbua Shuiying had fallen one after another, and that was a huge stimulation to Void Primogenitor. Now that Dongbua Shuiying relied on the Realm Heart Order to return, he could not help but feel excited. Tianyu, you can't contact him? Have you tried tracing him? I've tried, but I can't find him at all. Forefather Tianyu answered. Let me try too. Sword Master and Blade Emperor could not help but investigate. The two of them were confident of themselves. They began searching for traces of Shuiying. Nonetheless, Shuiying was a cosmos god, and his soul had even absorbed the chaotic origin energy. Even if the Sacred Master came personally, he could not trace Shuiying down. Everyone present tried, yet none could find him. What a formidable technique. Blade Emperor sighed. Celestial Waterholm Master has indeed been controlled before, yet we can't trace that mysterious person at all. Even a few of us can't find him at all. Just this technique alone has surpassed the majority of cosmos gods. Tianyu, in my opinion, you don't have to worry too much. Given how formidable this technique is, Dongbua Shuiying should be much stronger than in the past. Snow Eagle should have a huge improvement in his strength. Furthermore, reaching his current realm, he isn't a reckless and foolish cultivator. He won't send himself to death. Sword Master said. His temperament. Forefather Tianyu shook his head. Hard to say. Void Primogenitor was worried too. The techniques of Sacred Master are unfathomable. Even during that time, when the primitive ancient sacred world was shattered, Sacred Master had never fallen into such a difficult situation. If Snow Eagle were to go to his ancient sacred world to save someone, he would be in danger. What can we do? We have no choice. Rest assured, he should have become a cosmos god since he could isolate himself so easily. Only then would he dare to barge into the ancient sacred world. Sword Master said, how about this? Void Primogenitor, you should monitor the ancient sacred world. The moment you discover any disturbance, if Dongbua Shuiying really went to save someone and met with danger, the few of us will work together to kill our way into the ancient sacred world. All right, Void Primogenitor nodded. Amen, I'll contact Jiezu and Wuzu. Blade Emperor nodded too. They still dared to barge into the ancient sacred world if they worked together. After all, Wuzu, Jiezu, Blade Emperor, and Sword Master were all close to becoming Sacred Master. We have to be careful too. Perhaps it might not be Dongbua Shuiying. Sword Master reminded them. Very soon, the 6 great holy grounds and the myriad ancient sacred world had completed their preparations. Wuzu, Jiezu, Blade Emperor, and Sword Master were prepared to kill their way into the ancient sacred world at any moment. Void Primogenitor was currently executing the destructive realm teleportation technique, constantly monitoring the important locations within the ancient sacred world. He's still alive? Jiezu was inwardly startled. That time, his teacher, Old Monster Stone, was infuriated because of the death of Dongbua Shuiying. He even fought with Sacred Master, resulting in both sides suffering heavy losses. The ancient sacred incarnation of Sacred Master had been depleted, and Old Monster Stone was heavily injured and had fallen into a deep slumber. We have yet to ascertain if it is Dongbua Shuiying. If it is him, we'll inform teacher. Jiezu thought. Even though they were not confident of destroying the ancient sacred world, they were confident of retreating with their lives. Furthermore, Jiezu was extremely confident. He still had Old Monster Stone behind his back. During crucial moments, he could ask his teacher, Old Monster Stone, to act. Time passed. Dongbua Shui Ying's teacher, Void Primogenitor, was constantly monitoring the situation. They were all waiting. They even wanted to know if the mysterious person was Dongbua Shuang. Hoo. In the primal chaos void, on a huge rock with a circumference of several dozen kilometers, a white-robed Dongbua Shui Ying stood there. Even though waves of void waves were affecting this place, the moment they got close to Dongbua Shui Ying, they would be deflected away. Chaotic origin refinement body. Dongbua Shui Ying wanted to save his wife. His heart was filled with anxiety. But no matter how anxious he was, he would not foolishly send himself to death. Just by relying on the pinnacle of voidification, did he think he could save his wife from the sacred master? That was simply wishful thinking. Void Primogenitor had long reached the pinnacle of voidification. Even Emperor Jiyun had reached the pinnacle of voidification. Emperor Jiyun's attainments in the Tao of Void were even higher than Dongbua Shui Ying's. But he still fell in the end. Furthermore, he was barging into the territory of the sacred master, the ancient sacred world. If I barge in directly, the chances of success would be less than 10%. It is practically sending myself to death. I should at least have an 80% chance of success after cultivating the chaotic origin refinement body. Dongbua Shuang thought. It was sufficient for him to have an 80% chance of success. One had to know. He still had an avatar in the Bright Star planet, disguised as a disciple of the Black Sky sect. He was very low profile. Even if this body died in battle, his avatar could rapidly refine another body. To him, the most dangerous thing if he failed wasn't dying in battle, but the death of his wife. The Chaotic Origin Tao Scroll is split into two parts. One is the Chaotic Origin Combat Technique, and the other is the Chaotic Origin Refinement Body, of which the Chaotic Origin Refinement Body is the foundation. Dongbua Shuang was relatively confident. The reason why he felt that he had an 80% chance of success was purely because he did not know what other unknown techniques the Sacred Master had. Just based on the known techniques, Dongbua Shui Ying felt that he was 100% confident after cultivating the first level of the Chaotic Origin Refinement Body. That was why he felt that he had an 80% chance of success. Jing Xiu, let's wait for a period of time. Dongbua Shui Ying sat down cross-legged. He punched out. One could see the surrounding void becoming still. It immediately split into 8 spatial zones. It was just like an enormous mirror being split into 8 pieces. At the center of the 8 spatial zones was Dongbua Shui Ying's fist. He had forcefully blasted out a tiny black spot. That was a grain-sized black hole. Chaotic origin energy was being emitted from within. Absorb. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately revolved the Chaotic Origin Refinement Body technique. At this moment, his body maintained the pinnacle of voidification. He had become one with the essence of the void. Following that, those chaotic origin energy were immediately attracted to Dongbua Shui Ying like moths flying into a flame. Chapter 11:17. The chaotic origin energy was the energy contained in the higher dimension beyond the origin world. Deep in that higher dimension, the chaotic origin energy was even denser and more vast. Even cosmos gods did not dare to enter, because coming in contact with the chaotic origin energy would mean death. Currently, it was known that only the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique could allow the cultivator to traverse through space. During the process, the cultivator did not dare to come into contact with the chaotic origin energy from a higher dimension, because it was too dense and too large. Even if one's body maintained the pinnacle of voidification, they would still be corroded and killed. As for the mysterious aura near the origin world, it was very thin. The small amount that seeped in through the tiny hole was even thinner, but it still had many miraculous effects. For instance, after his soul absorbed a small amount of chaotic origin energy, he would be able to execute the avatar technique. For example, if the body could successfully absorb it, it would undergo a complete transformation. The Xia Emperor had confidently claimed that it was the most supreme technique on the same level, and that it was above even the 5 phases sealing technique. The chaotic origin refinement body of the chaotic origin Dao scroll was one of the apex techniques created by unparalleled existences who had reached the final realm in body refinement in Realm Heart Great Land. That was why just 2 levels were priced at 100,000 contribution points. Using the chaotic origin energy to nourish one's body is the apex body cultivation technique in the Realm Heart Great Land. His body is comparable to ordinary level 2 cosmos god body refinement experts. Dongbua Shuang thought, just like the 7-colored fire, the realm of eternal night, and the 3 realms technique, they were all top-notch techniques of the same level, and they had the qualifications to fight those of a higher level. The chaotic origin Dao scroll was similar too. This technique, the threshold was extremely high. He had to reach the Cosmos God realm in 8 branches out of the 9 in the Tao of Void. He had to reach the pinnacle of voidification and break the cage before he could cultivate it. Time flew by. Dongbua Shuing felt waves of piercing pain coming from all over his body. After all, the chaotic origin energy was corrosive and destructive to the fleshy body and soul. Even if it was extremely thin, under the condition of the pinnacle of voidification, Ying had to rely on the profound mysteries within the chaotic origin Dao scroll to fuse his fleshy body with the essence of the void. Only then did he fuse strands of chaotic origin energy into his body. Chi. His body was like the void itself. It was undergoing the transformation of the chaotic origin energy. Dongbua Shuing could feel an unbelievable power coursing through his body, and it was still increasing. There was no need to rush. The body was not a weapon, and the transformation process needed to be gradual. It lasted for 180 million years before everything stopped. Done. Dongbua Shuing sat cross-legged on a huge rock in the primal chaos void. He did not conceal the aura emitted from his body, causing the surrounding void to distort. Opening his eyes, he waved his right hand. Sila, an extremely thin void crack actually appeared. On the other side of this black crack was a higher dimension. The aura of chaotic origin energy permeated in. Such power! Dongbua Shuing revealed a look of joy. The chaotic origin Dao scroll was strong in its body. Because his fleshy body was comparable to an ordinary level 2 cosmos god of the body refinement lineage, even if the chaotic origin combat technique was slightly stronger than the 5 phases sealing technique, Dongbua Shuing could still reach the level 2 cosmos god standard by relying on his terrifying fleshy body. He wasn't the best, but he was probably on par with Lord Lochum. Now that I've broken through the cage, it seems the region I've broken through has become bigger. Dongbua Shuing punched out once again. At the location of his fist, 8 spatial rifts intersected. At the center of the intersecting rifts, a finger-sized black hole appeared. This hole was comparable to when Dongbua Shuing relied on the Southern Cloud's sacred body to execute the arch destruction in the Realm Heart Great Land. This cultivation technique is truly worth it. Dongbua Shuing revealed a look of joy. Since he could break through such a huge hole, it represented that the density of the chaotic origin energy that permeated and had greatly increased. It was entirely possible for him to cultivate the 2nd level of the avatar technique created by his teacher, Southern Cloud King. Cultivating avatars was much faster. Very soon, 8 Dongbua Shuings appeared on this huge rock. Ha ha ha! Dongbua Shuing revealed a grin. With 8 great avatars, my chances of entering the ancient sacred world will be much higher this time. He still had an avatar in the Bright Star planet. Cultivating the chaotic origin body would allow him to break through a bigger hole in the cage, allowing his avatar technique to improve further. That was an unexpected joy. Qing Yao. Qing Yao was currently cultivating under Sword Master in the Great Void Heaven Temple. She was working hard. Dongbua was also cultivating under Wuzu in a low-profile manner. The two of them did not know that Dongbua Shui Ying had returned. That time, Jing Xiao was worried that her children could not keep the secret. Hence, she was not in a rush to tell her children about the matter of Dongbua Shui Ying returning with the realm heart order. At this moment, Dongbua, Qin Yao, and Dongbua Yu were naturally filled with grief and indignation. Their father had died, and their mother had been captured by Sacred Master and imprisoned in the ancient sacred world. They were filled with hatred towards Sacred Master. Hence, their desire to cultivate was much stronger. Very soon, I'll bring your mother over to meet you. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at his children through the destructive realm teleportation technique. Let's go. He no longer thought about it. He headed straight for the ancient sacred world. Ancient sacred world. In the past, after the primitive ancient sacred world shattered, the largest fragment was approximately 1/100th the size of the primitive ancient sacred world. It was much bigger than the other 3 sacred worlds. There were many deities and primal chaos experts. In the center of the ancient saint world, there was a tall tower that shone with countless rays of black light. These countless rays of black light enveloped the entire ancient saint world, causing all the living beings to be bathed in this black light. Every single one of them was extremely loyal to the great Saint Master from the depths of their souls. For the sake of Sacred Master, they could sacrifice everything. Every single one of them seemed to be living for the sake of Sacred Master. Within the tall pagoda, there was an ancient sacred incarnation cultivating here. Even though the previous battle with Old Monster Stone had exhausted the energy accumulated by the ancient sacred incarnation, it would naturally start accumulating more origin source energy now. That is the ancient sacred pagoda. At this moment, a cosmos god had stealthily infiltrated the ancient sacred world. Dongbua Shui Ying maintained the pinnacle of voidification. He had completely fused with the essence of the void, and his aura had completely disappeared. He was a part of the essence of the void. After infiltrating the ancient sacred world, even though the ancient sacred world was illuminated by the black light, nobody could discover Dongbua Shui Ying. Sacred Master is over there. Dongbua Shui Ying stealthily advanced. In the distance, there was a palace that was heavily guarded. On the surface, there were many protectors guarding it. There were even some puppet life forms guarding it. Dongbua Shui Ying guessed that the security was even tighter in the dark. But he had to go over because the place where his wife Jing Xiao was imprisoned was right beneath the public square in front of that palace. South, he rapidly flew over. Maintaining the pinnacle of voidification, none of the arrays could discover Dongbua Shui Ying. Dongbua Shui Ying could pass through the bodies of some protectors without them noticing. They lived within the origin world, and Dongbua Shui Ying was the essence of the void. Naturally, nobody could discover him. Sacred Master. Dongbua Shui Ying arrived at the public square. With a glance, he saw the palace door ahead opened. Deep within, there was a black-robed, barefooted figure seated cross-legged on a black stone bed. His appearance was neutral, and it was hard to tell if he was a man or a woman. His appearance was pure and holy. Just sitting there gave off a vague feeling of the supreme law. Dongbua Shui Ying felt apprehensive inwardly. He had come into contact with many secrets in the Realm Heart Great Land. His understanding of level 3 cosmos gods had deepened, and he understood that Sacred Master had long reached the final realm of cosmos god. Currently, he was advancing towards the final step of grasping the supreme law. Clearly, the other party had some comprehension of the supreme law. He can't discover me now, but the moment I bring Jing Xiu away, I'll immediately alert him. Dongbua Shui Ying no longer pondered. He stealthily dived down. The public square in front of the palace was made of thick stone and had many arrays. Yet none of them could obstruct him. Dongbua Shui Ying continued diving down. The space beneath was huge. There were many levels of prison. Dongbua Shui Ying had obtained detailed intelligence from Saint Song Fu, knowing that his wife and the 2 hall masters were imprisoned in the Sea of Agony within the Inferno prison. Only then did he use the destructive realm teleportation technique to investigate this place. Only then did he find where his wife and the two hall masters were imprisoned. Otherwise, if he foolishly relied on the destructive realm teleportation technique to search for them, he did not know how long it would take him to find them. The news of Saint Song Fu's death had been reported to the Sacred Lord 180 million years ago. Sacred Master remained indifferent to this. He was only slightly startled that the Eastern Unicorn Sacred World and Myriad Ancient Sacred World could kill an 8th-level expert using the soul lineage. Inferno Prison, Sea of Agony. Donghua Shui Ying continued searching. The Inferno Prison had a total of 3,900 levels, of which 80 were within the Sea of Agony. What was the Sea of Agony? The Sea of Agony emphasized on the torture of one's soul. This was primarily because Jingxiu was weak and could not endure too much torture. Hence, she was thrown into the Sea of Agony in the Inferno Prison by Sacred Master. Why the need to torture me every day? Your torture is merely to refine my heart. You want me to submit to Sacred Master and lose my autonomy? That is simply a delusion. On the 3,300th level, there were many shackles imprisoning an old man with disheveled hair. The old man sat there cross-legged. He allowed the guards to inflict all sorts of torture on him, yet he remained calm. Donghua Shui Ying watched silently before continuing diving down. For the sake of spreading his religion and for the sake of making many experts submit to him, Sacred Master had directly controlled the souls of some. As for those whose soul and willpower were too strong and unwilling to submit, Sacred Master could not bear to kill them. Hence, he imprisoned them. Through all sorts of torture, he forced the experts to lower their heads. I've arrived. Donghua Shui Ying saw it. On the 3,511th level, on the surface of the Sea of Agony, there were many figures floating on it. Layers of aura were rumbling on the surface of the Sea of Agony. This was the weakest level among the 80 levels. Jingxiu was one of the 6 figures floating on the vast Sea of Agony. As for Myriad Elephant Palace Master and the other 2, they were thrown to the lowest level of the Sea of Agony. After all, they were 2 primal chaos experts. Jingxiu. Donghua Shui Ying came to Jingxiu's side. Jingxiu was floating on the Sea of Agony with a calm expression. It seemed like everything was fine. Donghua Shui Ying knew that the torture of the Sea of Agony targeted one's soul. Back then, I was unwilling to hand over the destructive realm teleportation technique. Who would have thought that Sacred Master would be so shameless as to implicate you? Donghua Shui Ying felt ashamed and helpless. Even if he was given another chance, he would still not hand it over. I have to act quickly. Donghua Shui Ying went through the entire battle plan in his mind. This time, he had to succeed. Now you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.